I'm oh, there you are.
That's so perfect. You never ever take Camille out of that opening. It's just such a I don't know, it works so well. Even though
Eventually, we have to move on.
but I don't know, I should keep her in there indefinitely. Melvin will kill you if you don't.
Shrink us down a little bit.
Shrink this down. What how do you do that?
It's not possible. You see your options on layout?
Perfect. Yeah. The small this?
Yeah, there you go. I need to see the
Okay.
prison.
Okay. So
Okay.
welcome Crazy Robin. We were talking about bringing you into a special we're doing. Arnold Strong numero uno regarding City of Lies and the new lawsuits coming up with Greg
That's
Rock.
that leads me to my business.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, I made a Cajun seafood with savory grits and garlic green beans. Delicious, but confess, it's hitting me. I got a touch of the itis. I will be fine
I
though.
That sounds fantastic. I
Yeah.
ate a burrito as I talked about in the chat earlier, and it hit me about an hour ago.
You heard of
So,
discussion about the itis, right? Where
oh,
it stems from?
yeah, we
Food
don't.
coma in the black community
Yeah,
is called
yeah.
anitis. I was told that about God, what year is it? About 14 years ago.
Mhm.
I was told the definition of anitis, and it cracked me up. Being at a cookout, and it applies to Whitey too. But I get it all. I'm very. That's why I eat later in the day. It will. I have no. It sucks to life. If I eat what I want to eat, I'm done. I have no motivation, no energy, nothing. I am
Mhm.
classic food coma with
Yeah.
an anxiety to boot. So what were you gonna say, Sarah? I think we talked about City of Lies.
Yeah, we are going to, and it's been set up for 6 months. We just haven't done anything with it because we really didn't want to have to do anything with it, and it was just a backup. But now the last couple of videos we're getting flagged for material. So we're going to stay here and do our shows as always, but we are going to go to Patreon for the lowest tier, like $1 to $2. I haven't decided yet, depending on how many we get. But we're going to do watch alongs, like Depp movies, 21 Jump Street episodes. We're going to stream those live. So if we can get enough Patreons over there, I know I hate Patreon, but if we can do that, I will lower it to the lowest. I think it's $1.
And that's explain it. And that's the first attempt at doing this is City of Lies because we're trying to get everybody hip to this movie who didn't see it. I mean, I told Crazy Robin I have I have the real deal version, so I will be playing that during it. So I want everybody to see what we're talking about with this movie, and we'll do a watch along before. I mean, I think in and around. I think we're gonna do. I'm trying to figure out if Thursday is kind of where we started. We talk about the new lawsuit, the assault lawsuit with Greg Rocky Brooks and the
Yeah,
City of
let's.
Lies set. And I want to talk about the history of the movie and how the rickety start and how it was on, it was off. The trailer came out in 16, then it was shelved, and the police conspiracy behind it, and the weird thing about Depp supposedly getting canceled, and and then the lawsuits with it. And it's just an insane saga with this thing. A lot of people aren't hip with, but now is July 25th, I believe,
Mhm.
is the next lawsuit, and it is untelevised, according
Yeah.
to from my insiders. So we're gonna again, if someone goes in and transcripts it, we're gonna reenact it here. And you're going to be there for it. As you saw, we did the UK trial here, and we're going to, in a way, I'm not happy that it's not televised, but it gives us a nice chunk of material to do.
So our next two episodes, Thursday and Sunday, are probably going to be covering that case, and then we're going to get into our special guest co-host we're going to have the following week. It's still a surprise, so I'm not going to say the name, but he knows who he is. I got an email. He knows
I,
who he
I,
is.
I will say though, I've definitely teased and pitched Crazy Robin being on board for some of the City of Lies because she knows the
Hmm.
terrain.
Whenever you want to do
She
it, I don't care.
knows that. So you get someone who knows kind of that LA area, and because it's so much. And again, I mean, you told me I'm not an OJ trial aficionado. I know the very basics. I know you are an expert. I know what everybody else does, but I have committed to watching the 30 for 30 called OJ Made in America,
I know,
and
and
it's
you swore you would
5
never do that.
crazy parts. And so as I was downloading it, I'm kind of looking at it and I stop, and there's a lot of similarities to the Depp stuff. So as soon as I stop, I see, and everybody knows this guy goes, one of the narrators something like, uh, Kato Kalin in Bungalow 5, and it reminded me exactly of Isaac Baruch. Like it was it the I, unit Sarah, his compound, OJ had a compound in Brentwood, this Brentwood, I
Not
guess, which
really.
is right outside of LA.
He had a house and a guest house. That was the compound.
How many people live there besides Kalin?
Um, my God. I think
Well,
Cato was the main one.
was there any other friend? Did AC Cowlings live there?
I don't know that AC lived there. If he did, it wasn't long.
How about AC Green? Did he not lose his
No,
virginity? Uh,
gross.
Scott Balo, welcome. Hooper, Andrew Morgan, welcome. Thank you for all your links you regularly send me. NA, welcome. I want to issue this too because I see NA. Zach, welcome, sir, from LV. What a sweet soul that Zach is, always sending me stuff he sees and words of encouragement. Affy, Kevin Cowie, welcome, sir. This is for the NAs of the world, and I know NA is a pushback guy. We're obviously going to be doing the Amber Heard on Dateline with Savannah Guthrie today, and it's the full hour, and I have it all. I edited the commercials out and I have it for tweaked for us. Don't feel like if you see something you agree with her on, don't feel like you can't say it. Don't feel like you can't have some kind of pushback. And I'm not talking about forced and contrived devil's advocate attempts. If you think something on her, if you agree with her on something, do not feel afraid to say, because it's such a gang I realize 98% of the culture is Team Depp in every way. There's nothing she can do. There's nothing she can say. There's nothing she can wear. There's no people she can be affiliated with you're ever going to like. But if you disagree with something on Depp's side, do not feel like you're going to get eviscerated, because I welcome. It would be really, really, really boring if all we did was agree on everything and kiss his ass the whole time, which is the
Mm-hmm.
easiest thing to do in this whole scenario.
Yeah,
So don't feel like you can't push back.
I'm not gonna yell at anybody in the chat unless you're an asshole and I want to ban you. I'll just do it.
Without bragging, I think I've done a very good job of welcoming that side
Mm-hmm.
throughout the whole trial, and I think
But
I've
NA,
presented arguments.
NA, her eyebrows were horrible, and I stand by that.
All right, okay, guys, am I crazy or am I just? Is anybody eyebrow what's the term I'm looking for? Eyebrow senile like I am.
No.
Guys, do you look at has there ever been a deal breaker with a woman because her eyebrows weren't up to code? Do you ever
Yes.
look at honestly, I think broads are the only ones who fixate on eyebrows. I don't think I've ever noticed they truly, 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 much like white people at a Celtic game, all look the same to me. I can't I can't delineate one eyebrow from the next. I swear,
It's the first thing I
maybe it's a
see.
flaw I have. It's the first thing you say.
It's the first thing I see. So
Okay,
you would notice it
you're.
if there were no
I
eyebrows. She would look like an alien.
don't worry about it. Don't, if you can't join it, Balo, don't
Yeah,
worry
it's
about it.
fine.
Well, you'll be. Maybe we'll have you on if you can't. If you have a problem joining it, just to join us, just so you can watch it.
Yeah, whatever.
That's a weird way around it. Here to
I
see
want to
Hooper's
mention why we got a flag on the last. Was it the last
try to
episode?
dance around the
I know.
nomenclature, because it really freaked me out, because it's such an honest discussion about a very sensitive topic.
We
In fact,
mentioned
Radio Gunk had a topic with Casey Armstrong doing a charity thing, so I don't understand it.
the cause of death of my avatar in that episode, and we were flagged for promoting that cause of death. That's all I'm going to say. And nobody was joking about it. We were talking about how horrible it was, and that it's a very serious topic. But that put an age restriction on the video, and it lost for some reason. Close to 1,000 views were taken away on that video.
Crazy Robin knows everything about the OJ stuff. OJ had a house in Brentwood's right outside LA, I guess, and it's a very white community, which is it's ironic, Crazy Robin, because I don't think you know Long Island too well. We have a Brentwood on Long Island, and it is the blackest Hispanic community in all of Long Island. And in fact, I think it's the highest crime rate. It's totally the highest crime rate in Long Island. And I think it ranks nationally in the top. It is crazy, crazy gang infested, gang ridden area. It's so ironically opposite the because it always freaked me out when I heard Brentwood on the West Coast. I'm like, what? That's not
Mhm.
my Brentwood. It's I don't know if you remember. I don't know if you're Crazy Robin. You're Southern California. Mitch Kupchak, ironically or fittingly, is from our Brentwood on Long Island. He was the Lakers GM for all those years. Isn't that crazy? Weird, like coincidence. He's from a town, Brentwood, and he was a Lakers GM on the West Coast, on the other Brentwood. What
That's
are the
weird.
odds of that? It is
Mm.
weird. Crazy Robin
But
says, "You reading this?"
no, before I forget, I gotta get this in. It's the Patreon link is in the description, and that's all I gotta say
Hmm.
about Patreon.
And we're only going to do it when stuff that we are absolutely sure is going to be copyrighted immediately.
Well, I want
So
to do a lot of
watch-alongs and
watch-alongs on
shit.
this channel. Like I want to do one like every other week.
The 21 Jump Street series bothers me because I wanted that to be mainstream because it is on that Film Rise thing. But what I have, see, the better thing is here's why it's better for us. And I really want to. I really, I'm not I am not a cash grab whore at all. Everyone
I
knows
know
me.
you don't even want to talk about this, but we have to talk. We have to for the,
Um, I
do what we
have
want to do.
thanks to our friend Boff, he found a German link for me, and I have the real deal episodes with all the music restored, which is
Mhm.
so essential to that time period and feeling the moment and the soundtracks they promoted, and Depp himself having input on the music they played on the show. So
Mhm.
without the music, I'm serious. I think you lose 20% of the show without it.
Yeah,
It was
I
such a
agree. It sets the
ah,
tone.
yes, it's like Miami Vice had it, like 90210 after that. Everybody remember wouldn't you tell me that 90210 they had God, that song damn, I wish I was your lover.
Oh
You're
yeah,
the only shoe that fits. And apparently that was like a real big moment with like Luke Perry and
Jenny Garth on the
right,
beach.
right. And they took it out and you said it was like the worst thing in the world when you went to watch the
It's like they put elevator
DVDs.
music over it.
Yeah. Oh God, it's the worst.
Also, the other scene that stands out, and we'll get off 90210 because we have so much to watch here. The scene where Brenda and Dylan break up originally is "Losing My Religion" by REM. They put some
Oh yeah.
generic
I remember
Muzak
I actually remember
version.
that.
It wrecks the entire thing.
That's horrible. That's really horrible. And the whole point was the song was losing. There's Sunflower Dragon. We have G Counter to counter argue. Well, yeah, that's true. Well, G Counter is doing. That's true. That's true. But you know what he's doing is his pussy fogs shtick. But
Mhm.
you're right. You're right. He doesn't really argue. He just argues what a what a p fog he's. That's true. Think her eyebrows look bad. Asian women got good eyebrows. Eyebrow man. Nicole's condo where the murders took place was sold and bought by an attorney shortly after the. She knows everything. God damn it. She lived near UCLA.
Yeah, they completely remodeled the front of the condo so you wouldn't know. It was so recognizable in the years after that they had to remodel it.
NA writes, "Don't worry, I've never heard of Amber until I listened to you. Really? I don't even find her attractive. I don't either. She's just hillbilly hot."
Yeah.
NA, I agree. I do think Depp did abuse her, though. I'm just not here for fun. Well, there's some on this Dateline. There's some audio that is irrefutable that he did do something in there. It's just do you care? And did she deserve it? She did
We
deserve
played
it.
it, or they played it during the
Well,
trial. I
they're
still
playing,
don't
but they're
care.
playing it during the Dateline, the times where it's impossible to think that he didn't do something
Yeah, but we've already
in
heard
there.
it, so.
But you're going to hear it again, and this is what he's talking about. So the case is, did he abuse her once? Right? Does the jury care? They didn't care. That's all they had to do is she allowed to use the abuse word? That's all it was.
Mhm.
YouTube, a bunch of yes, they are Kevin Cowie. It's scary, and I try not to be like Mr. Fucking cancel culture whiner. It's really tedious and use woke every 5 seconds, but it is. We're starting to eliminate words out of our vocabulary. I don't know what you can do anymore, especially when you can't even have an honest discussion about the topic of um, Kuakide. Um, which is a very sensitive topic for me. I'm very much an advocate for mental health and stuff. And Casey Armstrong came on. You heard that Gunk episode where he had, and I don't know. I don't know how to speak about. To what extent are you allowed to talk about it without getting that weird? I mean, the video's still up. You get a warning in front, but it's creepy. It's just creepy because you talked about Elizabeth Hurley and the Bing Man and
Mm-hmm.
okay, so now, Sarah, I believe you have a quick birthday presentation for this crazy
You already
cartoon
played it.
Gemini cat. No, we're gonna play it again.
Okay. All right. So my little baby girl turned 6 2 days ago. I know, who cares? But I made a video for her because she is our mascot and she
Yes, she
needs love
is
too.
the Catstronaut. So this is Sarah's birthday video, and I have something I pulled from Sarah's channel as well.
Oh
This
no.
also too to tie it into Depp. This is a Gemini cat. Her
Yes,
birthday is almost lines up with Depp's. It's like 2 days away.
I know. We're going to lose subscribers here.
Okay, so and then
It couldn't be
that
too
again.
horribly long. People
That
would
is
like
I'm not even a
drive
cat
off the
person.
road.
That is a very, very charismatic, cute, complicated cartoon cat. It really is. A catstronaut, as we have in the it looks like the Panthro from the Thundercats,
The skinny gangly Panthro.
illegitimate daughter that right in modern day. And this is a video. This is from Sarah. This yeah, everyone has cat videos on YouTube, which I never watch. This and I understand they get like millions of views. This should get more than all of them. This is the
Oh
funniest thing I've ever
God.
seen. So Sarah, all you Stern fans out there, Howard was obsessed with Kathy Lee Gifford for a very long time, and
You
he
gonna
used to
play
play her
that?
music. Yeah, and he used to
Oh
play her
no.
music. So Sarah, how long ago is this?
Um, 4 or 5 months ago. But there's a song playing. I don't know if you can play this.
Oh well, you didn't get it. You didn't get anything for it last time. We'll
They
cut it
haven't
out
played
if
it
it.
here.
We'll see
Okay.
it's
All right.
so bad that I don't think YouTube would ever even um I don't think it's so off the grid. I don't think YouTube would even acknowledge this. It's so
Okay.
bad.
All right. That's a good
And I
point.
think you hopefully you all remember this. This is from
It's
when Frank Gifford cheated on Kathy Lee with
it's just a
Susan
video you
Johnson.
just saw. So my apologies.
But it's Camilla saying I love this video.
Oy.
This song. God, it's like she's posing to the music.
She's so weird.
God, look at this cat. This is my favorite. It's like she's moving to the music. Oh my God, do I love that? Oh, do I love that? It, only Camilla knows. How about Kathy Lee Gifford writing that song? Where does the love go? Where does Susan Johnson go?
I
Ah.
don't. That song is so easy to get stuck in your head. I frequently like walk around and randomly say, "Go ask the river."
I like saying "Go ask Camilla" because I can't stop thinking about. But it's just so pomp. Crazy Robin knows exactly. Crazy
Yeah,
Robin writes,
she
"Yes,
sang
exact.
this.
That's
She
the
sang this
one."
during her "Feel Sorry for Me." My husband wanted anal sex tour.
Oh my God! And who it was it Dolly Parton or
Yeah, she, oh,
that sang it with her? It was like or
yeah.
she thinks she's Streisand. I mean, that's what when you hear her singing, she's like a dollar store Streisand. She's trying to be.
Mm.
It's very clear. Does Camilla have a tramp stamp? Says Andrew Morgan.
No, she's a little girl. How dare you?
Catnip. Do you have catnip? S-
No, she does not have catnip. She has cat laxative because she has a problem with fur balls.
Oh my God. Um, God, Tiger Lily's accusing you of abuse, of animal abuse. Didn't Melvin write that on the comments? I looked at it quick. They're accusing you of animal abuse from making your cat listen to Kathy Lee Gifford's music. Does that qualify
Um,
as
if I wanted to abuse my child, and how dare you, I would play Barbara Streisand and Celine Dion duet. What's that song? Tell
Oh,
him.
yeah, 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 yeah. Go ahead, sing it, sing it.
No, tell him that the sun and moon rise in his eyes. Reach out to him
No, no,
and
sing it, sing it.
whisper tender words so soft and clear. Hold him close to hear his heartbeat. Love will be the gift you give yourself.
I'm gonna be doing a series of Depp cover songs to cancel out the Hollywood vampires on our channel, and I'm just gonna do Depp singing pop music, corny pop music from the '80s. I think I'm gonna do human. What is it? I'm only human.
Yeah,
It's
sounds
because
good.
Amber Heard reminded me of that song during the scene. So let's go into Amber. She
Yes,
was
hold
on
on
date.
though. Scott Balo says Sarah gets science diet hairball control for sensitive stomach. That's her exact food that she eats and that she has eaten since we discovered this problem about 4 years ago.
She has
So
like anxiety, right?
her problem is she eats and she starts running around before she's even chewed her food.
Right.
So, and then she'll throw up. Like she threw up in the middle of the night last night. I had to get up about
Oh
two
no.
in the morning and clean up off the carpet. So, yeah, it's just her little condition. We'll
She
deal with
so
it.
ties into yeah. Cindy Clausen loves some Camilla. She's a hit. She's a huge hit. Huge, huge hit.
I adore her. She's so sweet. Anyway, it's not about Camilla. Let's get to the turd.
Can I tell you my favorite Amber Heard story real briefly? Oh wait, there isn't one.
I
Uh,
wish you had one. I would love to hear it.
okay, so I'm going to play. Let's go to the right to. This is Amber Heard, Friday night, 9 p.m. Eastern time, 9 p.m. every time. Actually, it is anywhere you are, right? Dateline doesn't roll. It's always on at 9, no matter all the networks keep it at the same time.
Mhm.
It's not like sports. So this is again Savannah Guthrie, whose husband was a researcher and info guy, and he worked for the Gore administration and Clinton administration, worked on the Depp team, worked with them. And then she agrees to do an interview for NBC with Savannah, having known fully, had to have known her husband work, and seemingly doesn't care. And they're on a first name
Yeah.
basis. So before we start this, Sarah, how on earth, and this is for the chat, does she not? You heard she got $1 million for this?
Yeah, what you got to look for in this is anytime they interview a controversial celebrity and they won't reveal if they paid them, look for licensing agreements. And the licensing agreement, of course, is if they show you a photo of, in this case, Amber Heard holding her daughter, Amber Heard owns those photos. So they can hide that $1 million fee behind they can officially call it a licensing agreement. So she was paid. And the word is that it was $1 million.
Speaking of
Um,
licensing, I own this NBC. I screen recorded it, so I own this
yes,
now.
and
It's
this is
mine.
fair use,
I
and
own.
we are transforming content just like the other streamers who you allowed to do this. But also, I want to say how upset I am that Dateline clogged my weekly episode with this garbage.
Yeah, well, I mean, I edited, so I edited commercials. I think they should be doing. This should be a three-part. What are they thinking? Doing just one?
I'm happy it's one. Let it be done. I need to say
Oh,
goodbye to
I
this
think
woman.
they should milk this as long as they could. There's
Oh,
no way they can't get at least two out of this. I can't believe they just did one. I'm really. I mean, there's got to be way more you could do with this if you have
mm-hmm.
access to her. They're probably. I bet you they release a fuller version. Um, So I want to ask you before we start. So how on earth, if she, how on earth is so she's doing this and does she not owe Depp this money? She owes him eight. She's $8.4 million in the hole. How is this money not going directly to Depp? Isn't this the whole? Isn't this what it's all about? He
Unfortunately,
doesn't he have the rights to this money?
Unfortunately, what I think he's going to have to do, I don't think he can do anything before the 24th when the verdict is official. After that, then he can start going after her and collecting if he chooses to do so. At
Wait,
that
I'm sorry.
point,
What date?
though, the 24th. At that
That's
point, though, she is going to do everything to duck and dodge, and she's going to sign these secret deals, and Elon's going to be paying for her way of life, and etc. He
this is
may have,
June 24th or July
yes, in
24th?
just a few days. He may have to do the Fred Goldman thing where every time they suspect something, he has to drag her into court.
Well, that's why I'm watching the OJ thing. I
Hmm.
forgot to even say that. That's exactly why I'm watching. So you told me that Goldman, blah blah blah, and I'm like, what? And so apparently in the fifth episode of this OJ thing, they're going deep into how Fred Goldman was getting money from OJ and the ways he was going about doing it.
Yeah,
So I want to
parts 4 and 5.
see how that goes. Uh,
But oh God, what was I going to say? I don't remember. Let's roll it.
this is what are you, Bobby the Brain? What are you, Bobby the Brain Heenan?
Yeah, I got the same hair.
before we before we do this, this is for our buddy Melvin. Uh, I got this off Instagram.
Oh, I
Mel,
know
I think
this.
Melvin might have even filmed this.
Is that Melvin?
Yep, it's Melvin on Camille's left.
Oh, Melvin. She looks sharp.
Okay.
I love that suit.
Okay.
We're on a
Sarah
loop here.
Hooper thinks you need, yeah, because if it's so short, I'll put it on. I'll make three of them if it's too short, and I just want. So this is the I labeled this the Spaniard the Spaniard interview. This is the, I guess it was Telemundo. She did an interview for one of the
She's
Spanish
done a
stations, and
lot.
that's the
Yeah.
guy she talked to. So this is
Hmm.
them, I guess, walking around, and somebody's filming. I don't even know. That's just some nebulous. I guess it's like in the 40s in New York. I'm going to say that's Hell's Kitchen. I'm just going to say that's. Here's my guess: 44th and 8th. That's my guess on that road. Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Where's Monique to quantify that?
Yeah, we
Ben
can't. Nobody
writes
can prove you wrong. So go with what you want.
a million. Pfft, that's a lot of moolah for the crap tier list performance. Johnny will get as much money as Fred Goldman, says Tiger Lily. 8.4 million. That's exactly what she owes him. So I don't understand. So Sarah says anything you do pre June 25th, she
That's what
gets to
I'm
keep.
thinking. I don't know if she gets to
What?
keep it, but the verdict isn't official till the 24th. That's when, remember
Maybe
at the
you're right
very end the
about that.
judge said, remember when the judge said we're going to meet here on the 24th and sign the verdict?
Yeah.
That's when it's official. So the rumor is also she's writing a book. So Depp could officially take possession of and the rights to that book and change the title to "If I Hit Johnny" and make the "if" very small, like they did with OJ.
I think she should title her book and ask Kathy Lee, Only My Pillow Knows.
Oh God. Okay.
Go ask Camilla. Only Camilla knows. Arnold Strong, please, for the love of God, can Johnny Depp put a lien on Amber and get that $1 million? I don't know. Again, in the defamation, again, how is this not defamation? If I got another. Is that Elon's incubator baby? She's getting paid. Yeah, collect. I have a comment on the Washington Post later. I just realized something. I've been talking about this in terms of MSNBC. Depp's Depp's box office is not going to even crack 8.4 million. That's going
Oh,
to be very interesting. Na
make
the
that a
next film he
billion.
comes out with, and I'm not talking about. I'm talking about just a nice, solid character, not even independent movie, but just a middle rung film to see what a movie like a crime drama. The next time he
Hmm.
comes out with a crime drama, and my rehabilitation for his horrible script choices and senility, artistic senility, is to do a Netflix, Amazon, Hulu crime drama biopic series.
I
That's the
think he
first thing I would
may.
do.
I don't think that's the first thing up. I think he's going to have to jump into
Stupid.
like a lovable role. Like maybe this Beetlejuice 2 thing is real or
Well,
the
I got two
Sherlock Holmes
things.
3.
So he's apparently signed on to do that stupid Louis the 16th movie, which I could give a shit about. That's not one of the first things I would do is purge him of all pretentious period pieces, European period pieces. Out.
Hmm.
The whole genre is fucking out. I don't want to see another one. He's done about 15 of them. They're all the
Well,
same. They're all
that's first.
interchangeable. That's out. Um, and then the other one is, which I'm very excited about, is a multi-part Blow documentary. So the George Young stuff, obviously, we all saw the movie Blow. They're doing a full-blown 6-part documentary where it's not an acting thing, but he's interviewed extensively in it. So I can't wait for that. I want to know. I can't get enough of that story. If she ever goes into another job in show business, she would absolutely have to cough up some dough. No, yeah, Maury boy, that's going to be Sarah. What were you saying about the Goldmans? It was a book Fred went after.
Yeah, O.J. Simpson wrote a book, If I Did It, and it's the weirdest book in the history of booking. He basically says, well, if I did it with this guy named Charlie. And then he goes along to describe in detail exactly how he actually did it. The Goldmans took him to court and got the rights to that book. And they manipulated the title on the front.
Okay.
They shrunk the if down very, almost minute. And it basically says I did it. So
Tiger
the
Lily,
Goldmans
we
got
are
all the money from that.
Melvin. I'm sure you'll look it up. You're probably looking it up now. If you could find out what that book garnered money wise, I would love to know what the Goldmans got, if at all, how that was divvied up. That would be great to know.
Well, people also at the time went out to buy it because Fred Goldman had gotten the rights to it. So that accounted for a lot of the sales.
Oh wow, that's cool. That's really now. How many years later was that?
That was around the time of that Judith Regan interview that got her canceled.
Goddamn, Judith Regan and her fucking background. God, with Bernie Kerik and OJ and Limbaugh and obviously the Howard shit. God, what a
Yeah.
weird life. Um, Tiger Lily, god damn it, we're a kindred spirit. She's wearing so much fucking white. I'm a mess. Tiger Lily, I have Roy G. Biv stains on that thing with one walk down the sidewalk, and I wouldn't even be eating or drinking anything. You would just look down and see Roy G. Biv on the jacket she has on. I
Hmm.
couldn't agree more. I cannot wear white ever. Jenny Craig is filming this. Okay, here we go. I am going to remove this. I'm going to put here we go. So I screen recorded this and I cut out the commercials. And
It might be loud. It might come in hot.
you say coming hot now?
Hmm. Fair use, transformative content.
I'm Lester Holt. Tonight
Hi,
on
Lester.
Good volume,
Dateline,
right?
Savannah Guthrie with an NBC News exclusive.
How's the volume, everyone?
I think it's okay.
Is it too soft? Is it too? I don't know if we can do much more to this.
Amber Heard speaks out in her first interview since the trial watched by millions worldwide.
I'm not a perfect victim. I get it. I'm not a saint. I'm not asking anyone to like me. But I asked the jury to just see me as human.
There's no polite way to say it. The jury looked at the evidence you presented, they listened to your testimony, and they did not believe you.
How could they not come to that conclusion? They heard over 3 weeks of non-stop.
Tiger Lily's Sunflower Dragon writes, the judgment needs to be entered, then the judgment liens need to be recorded before she can get any funds.
And they're starting that on the 24th.
And you say the 20, okay, and that's so she gets to, I don't know. This is so crazy. I hope they go after this too, though.
She
And I
doesn't
don't know.
seem, let me talk about this, what they just showed. She doesn't seem to understand what a trial is. She goes, how could they believe me when he had 3.5 weeks to tell everybody that I was a liar? Well, then it's your turn to counter that. And you had every advantage going into this.
Yep.
All you had to do was spit it out and make it believable. You couldn't do that.
Well, then you run into the thing about, and I'm sure we'll get into this, is like her testimony was so counterproductive. Her acting is what really almost single-handedly destroyed her lack thereof, her hideous, her Everwood. It's not even good for Davida, that Everwood reference. CW level act. She wouldn't even make Everwood if I were a casting agent.
She could have been up there and destroyed him in 20 minutes by just saying, he hit me. This is when it happened. He abused me. But she, like I said, I've said 100 times, she had to spin it off the rails because of her psychotic issues she has. But also Tiger Lily, oh God, what'd she say? She said something. I forget what she said. I'm so sorry. You'll pull it up and I'll answer it.
That's okay. Christ's sake, I moved to Hollywood, and I think it's going to be this glamour high roller fest, and I'm watching Everwood with David, for Christ's sake. I forget. NA writes, I bet if TikTok or Lily Rose cutting Depp's ponytail off, we get more views in his next movie. I can't stand it. I'm assuming the hair is for the Louis the I don't know. Does Louis the 14th have fucking frosted tips?
Yeah, he had one of those big Howard wigs.
Does he? Is it blonde like
And
that?
I think it was white. I
So what do
think.
you think the hair, or is it just for the fucking Jeff Beck? By the way, you're not canceled if he has a slate of like what is it? 15 European dates throughout the summer. If I were her team and I would have been, oh man, I would have been lethal on her side. I would have been like, how is this guy canceled? He has an entire European tour booked for a guy who's not even known for music, booked throughout the summer. So he can't even do movies, by the way, with all these. He has the Jeff Beck tour goes throughout the summer, and it's all these fucking Euro cities.
Well,
And I'd
don't
be like, if I'm Amber's team, I'm like, how are you canceled if you have an entire music tour
you
booked for
can't
the summer?
you can't compare an independent movie about Louis the whatever to a contract with Disney where he's making $25 million a
I'm not. I'm
picture.
comparing him touring with Jeff Beck, which is harder to get people to show up individually and pay money to see him in concert than go to a movie.
But just because he has a movie and he's doing some concerts where he makes $500
No, he has a
doesn't
full
mean he's not
European
canceled.
tour booked. That's not canceled. If I'm her team, I'm like, how am I affecting this career? He has an entire European
Yeah,
for a
she did.
genre he's not known for. That's what
Mhm.
I would say back to them. And then he skips the last day when the verdict is levied. I'd be like, how is he canceled? He's not even showing up. I would have been lethal on her side.
And you would have been shut down by
No, I wouldn't
the
have.
simplest of
I
experts
know
from
more
his
about.
side.
I would. No, I wouldn't.
Yes, you would have.
Stop. Relentless testimony. I'm a hysterical woman. I'm a crazy woman. I can't be trusted.
The Depp team argued that you were the abuser. You instigated physical violence.
I never had to instigate it.
By the way, Sarah, stop me whenever you feel like it.
Okay, I will.
And we'll go over some of it's going to be redundant. You might have seen last time, but it was done in a weird rickety 4K thing, and I think we need to see it all the way through.
See, I was watching another review of this clip here where she says I never had to instigate it. She's like just changing the emphasis around on some of her words. So she's like, "Well, I never had to, but I did. I never had to." So she's just changing the meaning. She's basically saying she did, in my opinion.
Scott Barlow says they got nothing from the book. I guess the Goldman's got he
Yeah, I don't
remembers
know.
hearing they got nothing for the book.
I don't know.
OJ killed a white woman, a Jewish man, two things you do not do in this. Okay, thank you. Everyone says the volume's perfect. Thank you guys. Appreciate your feedback.
I responded to it. This is a trial run amok, played out on TikTok and social media.
Are you nervous as we are here today about what you can say now?
Of course. I did everything I could to stand up for myself and the truth.
You did help his case. Thank you.
Tiger Lee says, I can't stop watching it. Her extensions are awful. Like she got them done in a walk-in
Yeah.
salon. More extensions than 17 Squabble Lane, right? After the Sirius contract.
I've been going through at work the Ricada streams from day one, and her different haircuts. She was styled to be some hard-edged Eastern European,
right?
Camp worker. I'll just say that. And I don't understand it. They should have softened her up from the beginning. The hairdos are just out of this world. Overcomplicated mess.
Yeah, we'll get to that, Arnold. He says, when this I'm not perfect. I'm saying the follow-up question should be, then what did you do wrong?
There's a rumor. I haven't watched this whole version of it, but there's a rumor that they edited out a flub she makes that we've seen in one of
I
their
can see
shorter
that.
clips.
You think she had final approval, editing approval?
Yes. So I'm gonna wait and see until the end to see if they actually did take that out.
Okay. When did they do this? Like a week, 2 weeks ago?
They did it
who
last
knows
Thursday.
when they did it? Last
Not,
Thursday. Okay.
Not 2 days ago, but the Thursday after, I believe, or Thursday before. I listen to this podcast at work, the Dateline podcast. I
Here's
cringe
today's
whenever she
show
says that,
co-anchor
or
Savannah.
sings that.
How I mean, can I guess? Because these professional overproduced podcasts that are done like from a company, they're always a little cheesy. Not cheesy, but just also like very, very, very like lightweight as far as let me guess, 31 minutes.
No, they're about 45 to an hour
Yeah,
and a
it's
half.
never over an hour. It's always like a
Well, the
lame.
clue is if I can look at the time, and if it's a 45-minute episode, the first person they list as a suspect is the person that did it. If it's an hour and a half, then it's an overcomplicated story where like the first three people, the first three suspects are not
Right.
the ones that did it, and it's going to be a surprise, or it's going to be what I hate the most. It's going to
I
be
find that they're
unsolved.
more worried about the interstitials and the lead-in music more than they are the actual content.
Oh God, when that woman goes, oh, I go, oh
Yeah,
God,
yeah.
come on.
Welcome Cindy Lou Who and Maury Boy. I think I'm welcomed Arnold before.
Guthrie with Amber Heard after the verdict.
After
here.
the verdict.
Some people might ask, why? Are you brave?
Let's acknowledge what Zach says here. I'd like to point out that Deppening point out Johnny needed the hair out of his face the first day or two and tied it back.
Yep.
Thank you, Zach. Zach, I was DMing lawyers and people on the staff. I was yelling at, if I can produce his emails, who I believed on his law. So Zellner, and I think I went after Chu, and I said, cut his fucking hair. I like cursing at him. I'm like, you idiots. You like the Emperor's clothes thing and the Emperor's ponytail. Like, they couldn't tell him. You know how Chu made excuses for him not being there the last day? It was
Mhm.
just like, I think the hair is the same thing. They
Well, I
can't
think
tell him to fucking cut his hair. I
I
would have
think they
been
did it right
livid.
though. I think they did it right though.
Earrings.
Obviously they did it for a reason because he was going to be testifying, and and that's a whole visual thing where your face is exposed, so you're telling the truth. But they did it right where they did it like they started it 3 days ish before he testified, so it wasn't completely obvious what he was doing. But yeah, he looked great with his hair
It
pulled
was the
back.
second day, right? Did he go 2 days with the George Young hair? With the
2
chocolate?
to 3, I think, maybe
And
3
then
at
he
the
went
most.
to ponytail on the third day?
Maybe 3rd or 4th. Because Isaac
Okay.
was day 2 and he was still
If you ever
technically
see the movie Chocolat, that's his hair, pretty much for the most part, with the ponytail. He plays you love that, right? That look, yeah.
I love him in that era anyway.
Yeah.
But technically Isaac was day 3 because they had the jury selection day that we counted on our stream as day 1. But yeah, I want to say it was day 4. Anyway, who cares?
Ben 4810, Eve Barlow holding up big cue cards and direction for him. Hey, look sad, cry now. For God's sake, don't say I still love you, Johnny, again. Yeah, she's been coached. I don't know how many times for this, rehearsed this in the mirror, how many times she did this, the whole thing. I mean, she has been, the day the trial ended, she has been working on this, and she just
Mhm.
cannot deliver anything convincing.
Oh,
It's
Maury
just
boy.
something you have or you don't.
Maury boy says you actually sat through Chocolat. No, there's a YouTube video that just has his scenes in it. That's
That's
what
what
I
I
watched. I'm
I
not
saw it in the
watching.
theater, like a huge homo. I saw it in the theater in the late '90s in Brooklyn on Court Street, which is like considered Carroll Gardens, I think. I don't know if anyone knows Brooklyn. It's a very, very, very like high end area now. It was gentrifying then, but now it's completely out of reach. And probably old school mafia used to be there. When I was there, it was somewhere in the middle, and they had a movie theater there. It was like a $5 movie on Tuesday night or Monday night, and I saw Chocolat there, I think 4 times. And the second, third, and fourth time I saw it, I had a cell phone. I think I just got a cell phone for the first time, and I would watch just his scenes and then leave the theater. I mean, I didn't entirely do it, but I knew when he was coming. So he's literally in the movie for 15 minutes, and he steals the movie. He depth charges the movie, as they said back then, and they would airdrop him into a movie, and he would steal the movie. He plays a guy named Rue, who's like a Irish river rat,
Mhm.
who has like a slight tryst with Juliette Binoche.
Mhm.
Are you reckless? Are you vindictive? Why did you want to do an interview?
The one thing I can tell you is, one thing I'm not is vindictive. There's no part of me that sees any, this would be a really lousy way to get.
That's
She
just
can't
horrible.
even laugh. She can't even giggle.
She doesn't feel emotion
convincing.
other than,
It-
she's volatile. That's her only. She likes to inflict terror on people, but that's the only thing she gets off on.
But in it, it's the actressy. It's right out of. I don't even know
And she's bobbing that goddamn head constantly, and like, oh, the eyebrows are trying to shoot up because they can't because the nerves are Botoxed. But she's just horrible. She has
Have you ever spoken to
she has
someone
no idea how
who's?
real people react.
Have you ever had a conversation with someone who's actressy? Like they
No.
are, like they majored in theater and they can't have a real conversation and everything is this put upon, affected. They can't even giggle without sounding like they're auditioning for a casting director. Like this is like David said, ever would. I don't even think she would. Like if you were running a show on CW, would you cast her like just
No,
based
she's
on a?
no.
And let's remind everybody, she did a screen. She did an audition for why we're here is the Rum Diary. So Depp and a Pussy Fog and Bruce Robinson casting her from a screen test. It wasn't even an audition. They just talked to her and she dropped Allen Ginsberg references for the most part. And this is what got her.
She knew
this
what
is
to
how
do.
duped they were. I know and
She studied him.
But this is how she probably spoke to him, and he fell for this shit.
Yeah.
What do you hope to get across here? You've had everything said about you. What do you wish people knew?
You know, Savannah, as silly as it is to say,
She can't even say Savannah. That sounds contrived.
Mm-hmm.
You know how like when someone uses the first name in the interview and it's like it sounds either comical or forced. She can't even pull off saying Savannah.
She doesn't recognize anyone else as a human. She on her
It's
level, I should say. The
basic
way she
bitch.
talks about people later on in this, they're just like they're randos.
Yeah. Yeah, that's not even. She can't even say it. And like, what do you say? You call her a basic bitch automaton? Like, just repeat all the tropes. You know,
Mhm.
you hear on
She is a
randos
dolt that once heard somebody say something smart, and she's
Yes.
just copying it.
and just beats it to death.
this out loud. My goal, the only thing I can hope for at this point,
You and
is just
Tiger
want
Lily.
people to
So
see me as a
many.
human being.
Tonight, we talk with Amber Heard, the woman at the center of one of the most sensational media spectacles in recent memory.
This is a case about the impact of Amber Heard's words on Johnny Depp.
For 6 weeks, millions of viewers around the world were glued to their screens, hanging on every moment of this courtroom slugfest between Hollywood stars.
The next move was just a bang, and she clocked me in the jaw.
It just hit me over.
How much do you sound like Paul McCartney right there?
Mm-hmm.
She clocked me in the jaw, love. But Lauren Marie, welcome. You're so right, Sarah. Lauren, you were one of the reasons we tailored this episode in the evening. I remember she goes, I'm going to I don't know where the beach is in the middle of upstate, but I'd love to hear what oceans are up there. But we actually it was at the the consensus was that the 7 o'clock Eastern time was better than 4 o'clock, and I have no problem doing that. She's like, you're so right, Sarah. Her hairstyles are convoluted. She's getting horrible style advice from someone.
The worst one was the one she had during Depp's rebuttal case where she was caught smirking at him while he was up on the stand the last time. She has that like S like formed into the top of her head. How many pins are in that head that she's got to carry around? That's why she had those pictures of that she said were abused. She's got like pussy sores in her scalp because she's got so much shit hanging from that scalp.
More scalp
And
than
over
a Lone
and
Ranger.
over again. And I thought, this is how I die.
The trial made public a volatile.
Tiger Lily, her face is so snarky. No matter how hard she tries, you can see it. I have no idea how she gets any work. I know. It's like the Everwood thing. I wouldn't even cast her in a fucking CW show.
Marriage with private moments caught on tape.
I was hitting you. It was not punching you. Babe, you're not punched.
For some people,
Guilty.
they just were frankly disgusted by the whole thing and don't have much sympathy for either one of you. Can you understand that?
No.
Absolutely. I can understand that. I would not blame the average person for looking at this and how it's been covered
Average person. We're
and
all
not
stupid.
think that it is Hollywood brats at their worst.
Tiger Lily, agreed, Arm, 100%. Hair and jewelry needed to go, and not showing up was a really bad luck. But that's, I guess, who he is. You know what, Tiger Lily? I think the thing is, we don't even know who he is, because that's kind of the beauty of him, is he's such a chameleon look and personality. He's constantly surprising me. And you've heard his speech cadence changes, as you've all been evidence to. I've been privy to for years. And so I don't know if we even know the real guy, but all I know is that he could pull off 1,000 different looks. And I think the look to go to, if you want to go to a movie, and I've heard different, is basically Nick of Time, Gene Watson Depp. And that's what I would have gone to. If his life is on trial, as he puts it, if my life is, I'm on trial, I'm gonna stand to lose everything. It's the most important thing to me in the world. Then you put upon rock and roll Johnny's got to go away for this 6 weeks. If this is the most important thing, you tweak everything to your charisma. You play to your charisma, and what is that old cliche about court? Is get rid of if you're gonna get a tattoo, don't make it visible in court. He has a tattoo on his hand. Like that's gone to shit. Like the tattoo culture is so ubiquitous. I don't get all Jesus twins on you, that people have tattoos on their hands and their neck and their face. Like that's just blown to shit, the tattoo thing. But I mean, I would have Tiger Lily, if I were on that legal team, I would not have bent. I would not. I would have ranted and raved and been like, cut the fucking hair, and just showing pictures of Nick of Time, all of the most clean cuttiest Depp you have. And by the way, no homo, long hair doesn't work for him. By the way, if I were just from a personal proclivities, I don't think long hair looks good on him whatsoever in any way, shape, or form.
Mm-hmm.
But what people don't understand is it's actually so much bigger than that. This is
the Deppening seal.
This is not only about our First Amendment right to speak.
But here's the thing about the First Amendment.
So now, go ahead, Sarah.
No, go ahead.
Oh, you said you wanted to. So now she's representing our freedom of speech.
No.
She's representing.
She's telling you what the First Amendment is.
Oh, she's telling us what it is, but she's now the poster child for the First Amendment and what it represents.
You're not saying it right.
What am I not saying right?
You have to say it like she does. First Amendment.
I think she got that from Scarlett Johansson too.
No, she can't. She has a problem with T's whenever they're surrounded by vowels. She just can't.
Is that
spit the T out?
Texas thing?
No, it's a CUNT thing.
You know how Pittsburghians have troubles with W's? They say, L's. They say woof. They can't pronounce L's.
Oh.
Yeah. Did anyone see the article on the juror who said Amber Heard was making her uncomfortable? Yeah. Well, God, is that the same Stephanopoulos thing we did?
Yeah, it's that juror interview. Yeah, you would, whenever they'd have a sidebar and she would be just like out of, center a little bit, but you could still kind of see her over on the side. She's just turned completely and staring at them. That's not a sane person.
I sat through The Astronaut's Wife, Maury boy, 6 times. And not just Chocolat. I've sat through everything. Ninth Gate, The Source, when he's just reading poetry in an independent movie theater. I've sat through you think we would be doing the Deppening if I only saw Edward Scissorhands and Pirates of the Caribbean.
The First Amendment protects free speech. It doesn't protect lies that amount to defamation, and that was the issue in the case.
Yes, exactly. Free speech does not protect you if you go into a crowded theater and you scream fire.
I can't tell you how tired of that I am as the example of, I said that last time. I'm so tired. That's such a fucking dinosaur cliche, that crowded theater. And I think they should have headphone jacks in movie theaters. Yell fire all you want. There's no lighter fluid in them. What the fuck? What movie theaters are been lit on fire in the past? That's even a thing. Was there just some movie theater bonfire inferno going on in the 20s or something?
I guess
that's even a thing. It's just stupid cliche, and leave it to some simpleton fucking See you next Tuesday to spit out whatever the latest cliche is. She just learned 10 minutes before she goes on.
The concept of free speech from the Greeks, but my understanding of what
Let it
that
play for a minute.
means is not just the freedom to speak. It's a freedom to speak truth to power.
The truth is the word.
Yes.
And that was the
He's the
issue.
public
And that's
enemy.
all I spoke.
So, how did it all come to this?
See you down the road.
Melvin writes, in July of 2007, the federal bankruptcy judge awarded the rights to the book to the Goldman family, who received most of the profits to help satisfy $33.5 million in wrongful death civil suit judgment against OJ. Huh. So this is what Goldman has coming to him, supposedly, and the Goldman estate.
They're never going to get that.
33.5. Thank you, Melvin. 10% of the front end from the corner trustee.
Amber Laura Heard grew up outside Austin, Texas, with big dreams of Hollywood stardom. After moving to Los Angeles at the age of 17, she booked a string of TV and movie roles. In 2009, she got a call that would change her life. It was from superstar Johnny Depp,
Here.
who wanted her to co-star with him in a film called The Rum Diary.
Can't hear you.
Hey, Dare to Be Different. Very fitting name, apropos, and very fair. Johnny is himself. He is genuine, doesn't mimic other people like AH. I disagree with that. He mimics Hunter S. Thompson every 5 seconds. I
Nah.
like the slick black point. Yes, he does. His whole
You're
life is based on his idols.
I know, but listen. You're comparing him to her. People are watching this and looking across the aisle at her. He is much more genuine than her, so it comes off as genuine. Can't hear you.
I said, of course he is. His influences are all over him, though, in a sense that shaped what he is. And he is, he's impressionable as anybody else is. But obviously, he's more genuine. I know that. I know. But Dare to Be Different, you had a great point. And you think he looks good? He did look good in a very, in a very shock-a-lot kind of way.
For his age, and who knows? You seem to think he has hair plugs. He had a good hairline.
He was 46.
Yeah.
She was half
Everybody has
his
hair
age,
plugs in
23.
The point is, you don't know he
Such a
has.
pleasure to work with. He's even better than I could have imagined him to be, which is saying
This is what you fell in love with.
After several years of dating, the couple got engaged.
Is that an engagement ring? Does that mean you're engaged?
What would you consider it?
So that's Savannah Guthrie. Okay, this hair he's got here, I would go with this, right? I mean, this is almost like Jump Street hair. This is Transcendence hair. If anybody ever saw one of the big bombs he has, he did with Wally Pfister, who is the second in command on the Nolan Batman films, and Christopher Nolan. Transcendence was a huge bomb he did. It was a cash grab movie where he very much mails it in. He's basically on like Skype the whole time, and it's not good. But this is the hair he has. That's the look for Transcendence.
The story with the ring, the reason it looks so feminine is that's the original ring that he gave her when he proposed, and she didn't think the diamond was big enough, so he went out and got her another ring. He didn't want to just get rid of this ring because it meant so much to him, so he kept it and wore it himself. Had it resized and wore it himself.
That's a good. Thank you, Sarah. And Brendan has a great point. It's like talking to Amber Heard. It's like talking to fucking Lou Butelli over there, right? He's absolutely right. All you Lou Butelli fans.
I think you look engaged. Congratulations.
Thank you. She's a wonderful girl and very good for me.
But the marriage didn't last long. In May 2016,
You see Savannah Guthrie from 10 years ago, Sarah? I don't know if I ever watched that interview. I got to find that somewhere. I don't know if it's still around.
Amber went to court asking a judge for a restraining order against her husband, alleging domestic abuse. Months later, Amber dropped the restraining order and they divorced.
Thank you, Mr. Okashi. Amber makes a prolonged, intense eye contact. This is noted by the jury. I can only speak from law enforcement psychology perspective. That is a known indicator of deceit.
Yeah.
Thank you, Okashi. I would tend to agree with that on my novice armchair psychologist
And when you're telling
perspective.
your story and you come off as so rehearsed, people are going to start to think, why are you so rehearsed? Like you had to memorize a script for this. You should know what you need to say.
At the same time, in all fairness, we know that they're coached. We know that. I mean, would you ever go into a trial this magnitude and not prepare and not rehearse? We know that they're doing it. I guess the object is to not look like you rehearse, which
But
we
if
all know that you've spent years
all you should have
obsessing
to
over this.
rehearse is your lawyer should advise you what hearsay is and be done with it. You should be able to get up there and tell your story without your attorney, Elaine, asking leading question after leading question and thinking, what, if any, is the cure all for leading question? Anyway, I can't stand Elaine. I
Melvin
hope she's
says.
disbarred.
Melvin says that Goldman has only gotten $133,000
Yeah.
so
He
far.
was
It's crazy.
still he was still working up until recently. He was selling ties in a mall.
Fred Goldman was.
Yeah.
Wow. Ugh, that's crazy.
Mhm.
What was his occupation most of his life?
The last one I knew, he was working in like a men's warehouse in the mall.
No, but what was it like most of his life?
I
Like what
don't
was
know.
he? No.
And it seemed like the Depp Heard saga might end there.
What?
Cheek implants.
In 2018, she landed her biggest role yet in Aquaman. That same year, as the Me Too movement was in full swing, she wrote this now infamous op-ed for the Washington Post. It included a
She
key
didn't see the
line,
title, by the
I
way.
became a public figure representing domestic abuse. You said
Let me say a couple words about the Washington Post. I watch a lot of MSNBC, news-wise, and there's some people are better than others, and some of them are more credible than others, and some hosts do a better job than others. But I keep kind of leave it on. It's just my style. I like the way the production is. I like some of the hosts, and let me say, they're not without their flaws. And one of the biases and biases, as I always say now, biases, the
Mhm.
lawyers say.
Secret Camille. Oh, no,
and
no, Dr. Curry. I was watching Dr. Curry's rebuttal testimony earlier today. The diagnoses and yeah, I love her though.
So, a monofilament running through MSNBC is, and they seem to be hooked in. And I don't know if it's oh God, what is the thing? What is the other entity that's on HBO? Politico, is that what it is?
I
Um,
think so.
the Washington Post is heavily in bed with MSNBC. They it would seem to me that a third or half of their correspondents are Washington Post op-ed people or columnists. So we pondered before, like what does something like MSNBC do on the Depp Heard thing? Huge news. And they talk about politics most of the time, but they will bring up a huge story, and this is a huge, massive story. Barely mention it once. I mean, you can go through all 6 weeks. I think it might have gotten like 15 minutes of it. It is because the Washington Post did this piece. They greenlit this piece. They are in cahoots with Amber Heard. So they didn't know in order to make their product, they are completely synonymous with the Washington Post. So in order to make their product and their people and smear their own brand, they can't talk about the trial because we're here because the Washington Post greenlit this, and this is through them. So you know what I'm saying? Like they can't. It would bring attention to how stupid and senile and presumptuous the Washington Post was for getting in cahoots with Amber Heard.
Mhm.
And it hit me 2 days ago. I'm like, because I knew all their correspondents are Washington Post people, and that's why they didn't touch it. That guaranteed.
Yeah.
They had like production meetings about this.
many times you just wanted to go on with your life. When you wrote the op-ed, it raised all of this again. Why did you do that if you wanted to just
I was speaking
go
to
on and
power.
put this past you?
Because the op-ed wasn't about my relationship with Johnny.
You said
But
it
it
was,
alluded
and we
to
saw the emails.
him.
It
It was
estab-
unmistakable.
You know, what the op-ed was about was, me loaning my voice to a bigger cultural conversation that we were having at the time. It was about reforms, legislative reforms, renewing the Violence Against Women Act.
Did you worry, gosh, I'd love to be a person weighing in on these cultural issues, but that's going to stir this all up again?
That's a great question, and one that
She can't even tell her what a great question is. She can't even deliver that convincingly. Yes, Lauren Marie. The 90s and the early 2000s was a phenomenal time for those independent type movies you're talking about. Absolutely. Unfortunately, it seems like those days are over. That was a really, really, and I mean, IFC was a great channel for a long time, and now they're showing like, Armageddon on the IFC channel. But that was such a ground zero for, even if it was something like Reality Bites or something like that, like
I
kind of
tried.
like a.
She mentions Great Expectations. The only thing I could get out of that movie was the Tori Amos song, which I absolutely love. I forget what it's even called, but it's such a good song.
You're a huge Ethan Hawke fan, right? You've just seen everything
No, he
he's.
does nothing for me. He's boring.
He was the guy that he was like a Depp sloppy second guy during those years. If Depp didn't, he would kind of go to him.
Yeah.
Brendan, one thing we like, the one thing we do know, Depp loves being told what it's like. Don't tell me what it's like to be punched, Brendan.
I wish was considered more seriously because it's important.
When you wrote this op-ed, it was the height of Me Too. Legions of powerful men
she did it.
being canceled, losing their jobs. Did you want that to happen to Johnny Depp?
No.
Of course not. It wasn't about him.
Pause.
Pell writes, she's a perfect example of how really, really bad people can get really, really, really great jobs. She's less than average and far from intelligent. Yeah, Pell, it's not a fair world. That's what I think I love about sports is it's merit-based. The best of the best are doing it and getting rewarded for it. In acting and music and comedy, it is not about, there is no best. And you could, charlatans like her can infiltrate it and get really, really, really good jobs. You're absolutely right. Go ahead, Sarah. I'm sorry.
She's talking about now, I guess she's circled back to it's not about him. She had his name mentioned in like one of the first drafts. She wrote his name out and they said, you can't write his name out. He's going to fucking sue us. So
Yep.
they changed it. But yeah, I remember on the stand, she said, that's why I wrote the op-ed about Johnny, because he was a powerful man being protected. Now she's
really-
circled back on her story.
You really think she oh, by the way, shit. Oh my God, I screen recorded it at your command. You have and I guess this is from like 10 years ago, 8 years ago. She does a public service for
I know.
being called a bitch. Is that?
I couldn't find it in what you sent me, so I didn't use
No,
it.
I have it in the folder. I have
Okay.
it. I have it. I guess we'll have to play it after this. She
All
does a
right.
public service announcement for women trying to do the kind of feminazi strong woman bullshit.
Yeah, don't spoil it though. I want
Okay.
it to land.
She has no zero clue what the First Amendment is. I know. She's
First
certainly interested in
Amendment.
the Constitution. Don't you feel safer, guys, that Amber Heard is representing your right to First Amendment? And women, don't you feel safer that she has your back, that she has your feminism back, that she's all these horrible monster men, that she's going to take them all down? Don't you feel safe? Amber Heard has your back. That's the bottom line, right?
Yeah.
But she's never going to stop. This isn't, you think, oh, go away. She can't go away. She's come this far. She's positioned herself as Queen Mira, defender of all feminazi rights. She can't quit. She's positioned herself as this now. She's the voice. She can't. It's the antithesis of how she has now anointed herself this. She can't quit. He's like, why doesn't she go away? She can't. She's never going to go away. Get used to it. We're going to have material for ages.
Johnny Depp disagreed and filed a $50 million defamation lawsuit against her.
Good morning.
She countersued, all of which led to the recent showdown in court. I don't have to remind you that you've been found liable for defamation.
Tiger Lily says, oh my fucking God, if one person uses that yell fire in a theater narrative again, to me, it's a litmus test for how low your intelligence is. Spot effing on, Tiger Lily. I agree. It sounds like you're more annoyed by it than even I am.
Against Johnny Depp. Having been found liable, are you nervous as we are here today about what you can say now?
Of course. I took for granted what I assumed was my right to speak. Not just about what I lived through, but what I knew,
Do you feel like you could be sued again by him for defamation?
I'm terrified, which is what I guess a defamation lawsuit is meant to do. It's meant to take your voice.
Tiger Lily, do you know? I know you came to the stuff late. Do you know the origin of how she got her hooks in him? The movie, The Rum Diary, which is Depp kissing Hunter S. Thompson passed away. He wrote a book called The Rum Diary. It never got published. Thompson passed away when Depp stayed researching him during Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. He slept in his basement. He found the transcript and read it and decided, Thompson's one of these guys that nobody's going to tell him when something's mediocre. And obviously he's brilliant, but this is just not even worthy of, I don't even think it's worthy of a book. I read the book and I couldn't engage it, and it shouldn't be converted to a film. If anything should, it's Hell's Angels.
It
And so
reminded
Depp,
me of like if you're watching a good movie and you have like A through D plot lines in the movie. It was like a D plot line. It really didn't go anywhere and it had very little substance.
yes,
And I didn't
yeah,
care about her.
Depp's playing. If you took out all the interesting things about Hunter S. Thompson and then made it a movie, it's like all the quirks and all the eccentricities that Thompson is. He stripped them, and it's a very boring version of
It's just
Thompson, and
a very visual movie, and that's about it.
yeah, and this is just I hate to pause it, but I think it's important that everybody knows why we got here and how we got here. So she auditioned, she somehow found out, and again, she wasn't even, in my opinion, not even she went against Scarlett Johansson and Keira Knightley for the lead of this character Chenault, who is the lead character in the movie. She somehow got an audition, but never auditioned. She did a screen test with Depp and Bruce Robinson, the director. She clearly, and Depp verifies this a few hundred times, which anybody can do now thanks to the internet. You can research someone and memorize their biography, what makes them tick. She basically did a Donnie Brasco to Donnie Brasco. She got all his proclivities and his interests and memorized them and used them in the screen test and dazzled, and then put him in a pussy fog at the same time. And then he apparently, again, this will play this next time. He was so bedazzled by her, he kept pursuing her while he was still with Vanessa. And he's texting her back and forth, and and she's a lesbian, and she's turning him down. And then her career kind of started to skid out, and she decided, you know what, maybe I do need his influence. And then she put on the pussy fog, and then they got together. But he was clearly stepping out, Joe Jackson, with on Vanessa with her during the thing, but she got her hooks in him by laying down the foundation that she's some old soul, some precocious old soul that loves Allen Ginsberg and the same music as him. And what was that dumb quote Sarah you showed me where she said, "I don't watch anything after 1979.
I don't remember
I
what she
don't care
said.
about any pop culture," some bullshit like that. And you could poke
She just
holes in it
loved
all day. But that's
old
how she got.
old
Yes,
blues
that
music.
shit. Right.
Let it play for a little bit here. When you get back.
When we come back, inside the allegations.
She has a need for conflict. She has a need for violence.
The Depp team argued that you were the abuser, that you instigated physical violence.
I never had to instigate it. I responded to it. As I testified to, if it meant the difference between a broken nose or a sore cheek, I would do it.
When you were 46, any guy dating someone 23, what do you think it's going to be like? What commonality should you have? You shouldn't get along. It's doomed. How many? I don't know. I think it was Melvin that posted. We asked him some statistic about the age range of when it's 20 years or more, how that it's like a 85% failure rate or more. Of course, it's going to fail. Eventually it's going to get exposed. You have no business being, and there's worse than that. And he's actually dating even a more age gap than that. But it's just that, that robbing the cradle thing, it never works to that degree. Like when that 23, it's of course it's doomed.
People lined the streets waiting for a glimpse of them, these two movie actors. Their cars pulling up not to a red carpet, but to a Virginia courthouse. What did you see out the window of that car?
Every single day, I passed city blocks lined with people holding signs saying things that I couldn't repeat on television. And they had to establish barricades to protect me so I could drive into a protected entrance of the courthouse. Every single day, that's how I walked in the court.
There were more
took the
people
same
waiting for her
entrance.
inside, packing the courtroom and watching from home. Amber's lawyers had fought to keep TV cameras out, but lost.
I didn't want this to be a thing. I didn't want it to be a trial. I didn't want it to be a part of the public record. But when someone sues you, you don't really have a choice.
Yeah,
With
consequences.
the burden of proof on
We were talking about the camera stuff, and I was talking about the another impending trial with the City of Lies location manager Greg Brooks and another assault Depp has, which it sounds I couldn't be more proud of him for what this story really is when we get into it. But the judge rejected the cameras in this, and this is going to be in California. And Judge Azcarate is kind of quoted in this article I read, and she basically said, and I couldn't agree with her more. She said, when you bring in the cameras, you're educating the public as to this, and it actually lets people know. And I think it spreads a legalese of knowledge about people of what you should and shouldn't do. And it's a great education to watch this trial. And certainly you learned a million things from this trial. And she also said, if you don't bring the cameras, you're inviting a mob scene because now they're going to try to get into the court. So now you're going to have the general public and every single media member trying to get at this because you can't watch it on TV. So in a way, you're staving off people because you did televise it. Sarah, are you with us?
Yeah, I'm listening.
Okay. Do you agree with Azcarate's assessment of how? I mean, think about I bet you exponentially 20 times the people would show up to try to get a look at what was going on.
Of
If
course. People demanding and fighting to get into the courthouse. Yeah. To save their Johnny. Yes.
and then the thing is, Depp's Ben Chu said, full transparency. We have nothing
Of
to hide,
course. The person
and
that
we're gonna.
is so fighting so hard to keep this off television or out of the public eye probably has something to hide.
Yep. It's an admission that you don't have your shit together, and
Mhm.
you don't trust anything about um your presentation is going to be exposed, and
Yep.
you just don't want people to, because, and she's also wants to crutch on what happened. I like she takes credit for the UK trial. So she wants to
Oh
mimic
yeah.
what happened in the UK
Well,
with
she'll
no
say,
camera.
I wasn't a defendant in that. I was just a witness, but we won resoundingly. Okay,
Thank you.
make up your
And so
mind.
I'm pausing this a lot too because I don't want to risk any copyright stuff. So I'm just going through and I'm trying to just choose my battles with playing it in long form. Yes, thank you, NA Axios. Thank you.
On him, Johnny Depp made his case first. To prove defamation, his lawyers needed to show that Amber's claims of abuse were false and had hurt his career.
Mr. Depp, have you ever
Fred Goldman was a real estate broker,
Mhm.
Sarah, as person.
physically assaulted Miss Heard?
Never.
Have you ever sexually assaulted Miss Heard?
Never. Certainly not.
What have you lost as a result of Miss Heard making these allegations against you?
Nothing less than everything.
Depp said there was an
So good
abuser
with
in the
words,
courtroom, but it wasn't him.
I'm sorry, Sarah.
He's so good with words too.
Well, I mean, I understand, and I've seen him speak in a much quicker cadence, and I do understand thinking and pondering and stressing out, and every word is so super precious. So you get to take, and we heard Josh Richmond admit that he's basically doing a Christopher Walken impression. So it gives you time to think, and you're running out the clock, and you could say the perfect thing because you're taking precious 10
Well,
seconds.
maybe she should have taken note of that when she went to testify.
But it does. I mean, it works if you think about it. If a guy is very precious about what he says, it's like you're valuing it more. It's almost like less is more
Mm-hmm.
on in this case because he's really, really, you know what I mean? Like you're really valuing everything he finally gets out, and you're
And of
hanging
course,
on his every word too. Go ahead, sir.
No, I'm sorry. And of course he's rehearsed too, but he doesn't
Yeah.
come off that way.
Well,
He has
according
natural facial reactions. He has natural, glances over at the jury. I'm putting together. I put it up earlier today, but I had to take it down due to technical issues. But I'm putting up his entire direct testimony. I'm cutting out all the breaks and all the gibberish. And when he gets down off the stand, he'll nod at a juror and just like kind of half wink. And
right.
it's so natural, even though he
Yep.
probably just wants to go back to his seat and sketch something. But he's making eye contact in a natural way. She doesn't know how to do that.
I don't know who said. I'm going to take credit for it, even though I'm going to claim that I coined this. But I remember when Depp first started to get real praise as one of the top flight actors of his generation through the '90s. It was kind of like mid to late '90s, and I'm going to say that I said it, but I'm probably didn't. He put the B in subtlety. Get it? You don't pronounce the B, and so like he has always been great at just looking natural and not even needing to be a motor mouth in movies. So he's great. Depp's great at giving you a look or an attitude or the non-speaking acting, which I guess he loves to. Some of the guys like the silent movie actors of in the black and white era, but he is extremely good at cutting you down without saying a word in a movie. He's got great, great, great eye movements and facial expressions that look like you buy everything he does. He literally can take you down without speaking. Donnie Brasco did a lot of that. If you notice,
Mhm.
Donnie Brasco doesn't have a ton of speaking lines, and there's a lot of looks he gives. I mean, I felt like he upstaged Pacino in many, many scenes with that
Mhm.
in terms of presence. It's crazy to think that Depp is the same age as Pacino as Lefty now. Isn't that crazy?
Mhm.
It really makes you feel old.
Night and day.
It was Amber.
She has a need for conflict. She has a need for violence.
Yep.
It erupts out of nowhere.
Depp described a particularly violent fight they had when he was filming in Australia. He said Amber threw a vodka bottle at him.
And it made contact and shattered everywhere. And then I looked down and realized that the
I love Dateline's choices of cherry picking stuff from the trial and why
Of
they
course.
chose it and stuff. It's not all that. Her entire life. Not only is it all about Depp then, it's going to be all about him for the rest of her life. There's no chance she's ever going to do anything, whether it's in the general public or in any kind of professional setting, if that ever happens again, where he's not going to be completely synonymous with everything. And I believe deep down that's truly what she wants, to always be synonymous with. She's going to have like gag orders on sets she's going to be in to not bring
Mhm.
his name up, if that's possible.
the tip of my finger had been severed.
Depp's attorney showed the jury photos of injuries they said Amber had inflicted on Depp and asked members of his security staff to tell the jury what they'd seen.
Yeah, he
I
didn't have to
heard
adjust the
and
lighting on those
saw
pictures either.
a closed fist contact Mr. Depp in the left side of his face.
And whose fist was that?
Rick Rubin's.
That was Miss Heard's fist.
Rick
Amber
Rubin's
Heard's fist.
grandpa.
The Depp team argued that
This is NA's pushback. He writes, it might shock everyone, but maybe, just maybe, she's just an awkward person, and not some calculating femme fatale, fake abuse photos, fake confessions to a therapist. Way too many plates. I don't know. NA. Look, I can call Depp out on stuff. No one knows it better than I do. This is, I think she has the hot chick entitlement, the Austin.
Are you there?
Sarah,
You're in and okay, you're back.
did you hear anything I just said?
I didn't. I don't know if anybody else did.
If you didn't hear it, I bet you they didn't hear it. Something's going on when I lean back. It shouldn't cut out. I'm hardwired and I have no excuse. I might have to go into a different USB port. I don't know.
Sometimes
see.
when you're screen sharing and you put the chat up at the same time, StreamYard has an issue.
Okay. I was just commenting on NA's comment here, and I said that I don't think anyone who is a she has the hot chick entitlement, the feminine wiles she's been wielding for years and years and years. I don't know if awkward is an adjective I would use for her. I don't know if she knows awkward. I don't know if you know what I mean. I don't know if that ever comes into play in her life. Awkward. If she's ever been in a place of, I think she's so entitled. I'm the opposite. I have imposter complex. I think whatever. I think she has the opposite of imposter complex. I think she thinks she
Mhm.
belongs everywhere she is. You don't go into that. You don't look at yourself in the mirror in the town you're from. She's from Austin's not a small town, but you're like, I'm too good and hot for this town. I'm going to Hollywood because now you have a whole city of her that looked at themselves in the mirror in the little town they're from and said, I'm too good for this place. I'm too hot for this place. I'm going here where everybody like me is going to. And now you have a whole city of her. I don't
It's
think
her
awkward applies to
trying
her.
it's her trying to mirror humble and she can't do it.
Yeah, she's right. She's right, right, exactly right. Humility, right? Self-deprecation. She never admits she's wrong. We've heard this a zillion times from everybody who knows her. Self-deprecation, admitting you're wrong, admitting to a flaw is not in her character. And that goes with awkward doesn't apply either. I don't think she knows awkward whatsoever. I'm awkward. I deserve to be awkward.
Everybody here is awkward. That's why we're
Yep.
here.
That's true.
Were the
That's true. It's a
abuser.
commonality in this community. You're probably right. Not everybody, but most.
That you instigated physical violence. Did you?
I never had to instigate it. I responded to it. When you're living in violence and it becomes normal, as I testified to, you have to adapt. You adopt strategies to cope with it. If it meant, as I testified to, if it meant the difference between a broken nose or a sore
Gunga Din,
cheek,
welcome.
I would do it.
What about the witnesses who said they have seen you instigate physical violence? Did they all come in and lie?
Of course.
In court?
I'm,
Everyone's a liar
less
but me.
interested in sitting here, relitigating it with you. I am not here to
course.
call any of his witnesses any names. I'm not here to do that. I'm here
They'll
to
sue you.
just kind of talk about it from what it felt like for me as the person who sat there.
Her aw shucks.
There was
side
one
talking.
more voice Depp's legal team.
Yeah, you beat me to it. I was looking at her jaw, the stroke face, which she
Weird.
goes jaw to the left. Yeah, it doesn't.
She has a
Even
very
she can't pull.
remember when she was on the stand and she had a very unnatural mouth positioning, where she would like do sad clown face, where the corners of her mouth would droop to an unnatural level. Every time she'd look at the jury, like she'd have a snarl on her face, but then the mouth would drop. It was
Yeah,
very
snarl's the
strange.
perfect word. That's Jessica Myers, one of the other attorney, the Kennedy on the stand.
Yeah, I like
Apparently,
her.
she's the one
She's
who she jousted with Depp training for this.
she's a partner in the law firm.
Is she really considered? I
Mhm.
know Wayne Dennison is. You should be a partner. Are you a partner on the Deppening?
No, I'm just the bank on the
Shit.
Deppening. You're the entertainment. I'm the bank.
No, stop. NA writes, ha ha ha. No one truly knows what went on in private, but I will go to the rich, washed up, druggy, abusing, and much. Look, NA, that's very fine and welcome pushback, but I will say, no one said more than me. He made his own bed, and how she got the drop, and he didn't see through her bullshit earlier on. I am still trying to figure out how someone as heightened human sensitivity as him, who's a student of human behavior, didn't see her through her bullshit earlier on. And he is definitely to blame. This is a guy in a midlife crisis pussy fog, and that's why we're here. Make no mistake, I'll say that over and over again. So he doesn't get 100% of my sympathy and empathy because he's definitely. I think he'd admit to it too.
She probably spent a little bit of time evaluating the Vanessa Depp relationship.
Yes, yes.
And she was easily and quickly able to figure out what he was missing in that
Oh, God,
relationship.
you're so right. That doesn't come up enough.
And
I
she
think she had
played
a
on that.
conversation with Shitney and said to her, like, look, does this look like a stable relationship to you? Look
Well,
at these two.
remember there were
They're not married. He's on a film set. 14 years they're together, and I've never even seen her interviewed anywhere. What is this?
remember
I
for a
can
couple of years they were just acquaintances. So they were banging, but they were just like long distance friends, I guess. So she had plenty of time to kind of observe. And Tiger Lily asked me earlier that I remembered her question. Now, what was my avatar? It is a prison matron because we are prison themed today.
Yes.
Is where she
Then-
should be.
And you were going to do an Oz theme, right?
I know.
Initially.
I was so tired this morning. I dropped it.
Okay. Oz, by the way, the first HBO rugged, gritty drama show. It predates The Sopranos.
I want to
So
do a
less as
rewatch of
great
that
as The
someday.
Sopranos is, Oz came first. And Edie Falco is an amazing.
I
Was
love
on
that
both
show.
shows at the same time. She played Carmelo Soprano and a prison guard at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing I like about Oz is they didn't have yard. So it was shot in Long Island City, Queens, and they didn't have a fucking yard. They
Yeah.
never did yard scenes. It was all inside.
Wanted
gotta
the
go into
jury
the
to
kitchen
hear
once in a while.
Ambers.
Yeah.
They had audio
the
recordings
showers,
of the
of
couple
course.
talking about how Amber
Perry.
sometimes got physical.
Brian Bloom.
Thank you, Melvin. So if there's a okay, this is great stuff. If there is a 5+ year age difference, the risk increases 18%. 10-year age difference with a guy and a girl difference yields increase of 39% divorce.
Mm-hmm.
If there is a 20+ year age difference, the risk is 95%. Statistics don't lie. Ball don't lie, says Josh Richmond. 95%. All you
course.
cradle robbers in a midlife crisis,
You have
look
to
at
have
that number.
something in common intellectually with who
Something.
the person you're with.
Yep. That's crazy.
I hear it again.
Let it play for a bit.
Resounds in my cranium. You like that?
I love you.
Oh.
I love you. I'm sorry.
In another recording, Amber was less apologetic.
I'm sorry I hit you like this, but I did not punch you. I did not deck you. I was hitting you.
There are tapes in which you acknowledge hitting. There are tapes in which you say, I started the fight.
I know much has been made of these audio tapes. And as I testified on the stand, what you would hear in those clips are not evidence of what was happening. It was evidence of a negotiation of how to talk about that with your abuser.
But I am looking at
that
a transcript
somewhere.
that says, he says, you start physical fights, and you say, I did start a physical fight.
I did start a physical fight.
Yeah, you did.
But you're telling me today, I never started a physical fight, and here you are on tape saying you did.
As I testified on the stand about this, is that when your life is at risk.
That's so funny. Right on cue, Crazy Robin. She says risk, and she says Johnny took a lot of risk too by having this trial televised. But hey, he took the risk. Crazy Robin, it really was an insane gamble by him to play this out, and it's all him. Don't think for a minute, oh, we have a theory that it was John. It is all him, and the lawyers will say that he wanted this televised and insisted on having this. It was a huge, huge gamble that could have gone. Really, the odds were so against him. I didn't think he was. All you needed was one juror to go against him in that system in Virginia. You needed 6 out of 7 could be in his favor.
It was a young jury that you would think that they would be, influenced by the wokeness of Twitter, that they would be more apt. I was worried about that when they said that it was the average age was much lower than it probably should have been.
I really think they just had to be going. They're going to put her on the stand, and Depp's like, nobody knows her better than me. She can't. Why'd you cast her in Rum Diary? I'm about to contradict myself. There's no way people are ever going to find her. She's going to sink herself, and just let her do it. And everything they did was masterfully played in that sense. Geez, and it was all risk. It was a huge risk. She's right.
But the that audio where she hits him in the ear and he's talking about it, the way he's like, "You hit me," I'm paraphrasing. "You hit me in the ear," and she's like, "I love you, I love you."
Look at what Sunflower Dragon writes.
Sorry. Okay.
Yeah, look what Sunflower Dragon writes. Perfectly. I didn't even plan it this way. You can see the crazy. It's all over her
I just see the
face.
eyebrows growing up into
You just see
her
the eyebrow.
hair
I
like
see the crazy.
vines.
I see the cheek implants and the eyebrow and the chemical peel.
Not only will you take the blame for things that you shouldn't take the blame for, but when you're in an abusive dynamic, psychologically, emotionally, and physically, you don't have the luxury of saying, hey, this is black and white, because it's anything but when you're living in it.
He says
She watched
he
a
never
PSA.
hit you. Never. Is that a lie?
Yes, it is.
He says he's never struck any woman. His lawyers argued at trial. None of his other prior relationships, not one woman has come forward and said he physically hit them. You were the only one.
Look what happened to me when I came forward.
Honey.
Would you?
Opening the door for
Coming
statements
up.
being made.
Go ahead, Sarah. I'm sorry.
She's opening the door for these exes to come out and make statements if they want to.
That's what she's doing.
She's
Now,
calling them liars.
in all fairness, we can get into this some other time. Winona Ryder had a thing where they didn't want to use her because she came out with a statement in an interview she did where a guy I dated when I was in my late teens was horribly abusive towards me.
She
Not
also
so
dated
much put in
Christian
that way where he
Slater.
had rage fits and stuff. She doesn't explain it. That he just had an explosive temper. She doesn't say she hit him, but she basically says he had this crazy explosive temper where he destroyed things. And
She
that's
left
clearly
Christian
Depp.
Slater for Johnny Depp. I've always thought that she was alluding to Christian Slater.
No. Because she
Yes.
was with Depp at 17. How could that be her late teens? She identifies
That's
the age.
okay. So she was with Christian Slater when she was 16.
16 or 15.
So
That's
that's a
not the
late.
age. The age she identifies is death. That's, I know you want to defend him to the death, but let's admit to stuff when it's happened. Look, I've
I'm
a
not going to admit
temper.
if I don't
I've
believe
exploded
it.
around people. He exploded around. That's fine. He destroyed stuff. He didn't hit her, but that's definitely him. It's definitely she's talking about that. If Amber wanted to help herself, she'd stop with the forced delivery and fake emotion. Just be real. Just be real for once. I didn't know a lot about her personality before this, but she's defined herself as completely unlikable. Yes, Lauren, 100%. Everybody agrees with you. Even people, I think her own lawyers at some point were going, look, I'm rooting for him now. I don't even believe you anymore. I can't. There's nothing we can do with you. There's nothing we can set you up with. It sounds convincing.
I feel so embarrassed that he could kick me to the ground in front of people.
As you sit here today, do you stand by your testimony and your accusations?
Brendan with a little pushback here. Brendan writes, to be fair, it just seems very unlikely to me that chucking a bottle can sever a finger off. It is a crazy scenario. If I take a liquor bottle and you're sitting over here and I throw it with Randy Johnson velocity somehow. Or
It's
Jenny
also the
Finch.
positioning of the finger, though. It's
Yeah.
up on the edge of a granite countertop. I can totally see how it would be severed.
We're
the way
never
you
going to
described
know unless we
I
saw the
think
whole
we
thing
know.
on tape. I'm more likely he's right, but Brendan's right. It is kind of strange that could happen in that scenario.
Against Johnny Depp about abuse.
Of course, and I will to my dying day.
When Dateline continues.
It was a shocking day in court yesterday.
The attention seemed to grow day by day.
The surprises just keep coming in this trial.
But for all the intense curiosity,
Pell is something intelligent as usual, right?
The only thing that makes me disagree is the polarity of her attitudes. Nice and awkward in public, but the savage behind closed doors cry for the caps lock.
Yeah, I mean, what we don't know is what's interesting me too. What do we not know? Because we don't know shit. I think there's threesomes going on and crazy group sex in those penthouses. I don't think we know shit. I think we know 20% of what happened. And I think this is, I keep saying, hell hath no fury as a woman scorned. I think this got put into hyperdrive when she found out he cheated on her with Rochelle Hathaway. And that never comes up. That name needs to be brought up over and over again. I really think we might even be here if he didn't cheat on her. And she him. But I think that, you agree with that, Sarah, right? That hell hath no fury?
Mm-hmm.
Nice follow-up.
I'm
this
reading
was not
chat
the
and
first
waiting
time.
for you to play.
I'm just kidding. I'm just teasing. I know you're reading.
Amber Heard and Johnny Depp faced off in court.
There was another trial, dealt with the same substantive issues, handled differently by a judge instead of a jury.
Johnny Depp sued The Sun, a British tabloid, over an article it published describing him as a wife beater. The case went to trial 2 years ago in the UK. There were no cameras in court. The judge in that case found that most of Amber Heard's allegations of abuse were substantially true.
Johnny Depp has lost his legal battle with a British tabloid.
We prevailed, overwhelmingly.
The jury in the U.S. trial wasn't allowed to hear about that judgment. And Amber says that by the time she got up to tell her side of the story...
Yes, Crazy Robin, to just translate to our stern brethren here, it's exactly what Beth did when she was in Pittsburgh. She looked at herself in the mirror and said, I'm too hot for this Pittsburgh. I'm going to pretend to be a model from Europe, and I'm going to move to New York and hopefully go to the Soho Grand Hotel with all the other grifters and socialites and get my hooks into some rich... So that's exactly right. That's just an East Coast version of it. Absolutely, Crazy Robin.
The court of public opinion here had already turned against her.
After 3.5 weeks, I took the stand and saw the courtroom packed full of Captain Jack Sparrow fans who were vocal, energized, who come from all ends of the world.
We've been here all night long. I took 2 buses, 2 trains, and I had to walk a half an hour.
And the jury saw all of that.
During 5 days on the stand, Amber told her version of the toxic relationship. She said the physical abuse began when they were first dating and continued throughout their marriage.
When I was walking out of the bedroom, slapped me across the face. I turned to look at him, and I said, Johnny, you hit me. You just hit me.
I testified on the stand. I got hit for a very long time before I knew how to even try to defend myself.
Amber said the abuse usually happened in private.
Her claim is, and I don't know, I'm stating the obvious, but I guess you can't reiterate. Her claim is, look, he's so rich and powerful. He's so beloved internationally. He's got such a staff of security and assistants and lemmings around him. There's nothing I can do in terms of pushback if he comes at me, because nobody's going to believe, substantiate, or corroborate. But at the same time, then you have a whole penthouse of people who are your friends. So they're corroborating it, because the entire penthouse was tweaked because you aren't comfortable, and he went as far to make an entire penthouse
No,
compound
a whole floor in a very expensive building, an exclusive building downtown. He bought an entire floor of apartments for your ass and your partying friends who don't work and don't pay a penny.
So I don't want to hear this stuff where you feel like you're ganged up on by his people, because your entire life, your entire existence with him was tweaked for your comfort level. If you
Well,
think
again,
about it, right?
you know, abusers isolate their victims.
Right.
How is that isolation?
Well, he's also away like half the year, at least. I mean, maybe more
Well, you
than
know
that.
what? You know her problem was, I'm just alone. You know my issues with abandonment. Can you move my friends in while you're gone? You're just gone so
No,
long.
you like, it sounds like you hyperbole. You're exactly right. That's exactly what she did. That's exactly what she did. And that's on audio, I believe, where she said, "You're gone. I'm losing a sense of myself. My family's isolated from me. Let me have my sister move here. My best friend's gonna come in here too." And it
Well,
just
like
turned into,
she likes to throw out I need a foundation.
yeah.
You're never
That's the F
on
word.
time. It's always up in the air. I just need a foundation. Okay.
Danny Bonaducci. I'm going to find you and shake your foundation.
But told the jury Depp once kicked her on a plane in front of his entourage.
I felt so embarrassed that he could kick me to the ground in front of people.
In all, she described at least 12 times when Depp hit her.
And he's punching me with a closed fist, punching me.
She said it often
With
happened
rings
when he
on.
was drunk or on drugs.
I'm sorry?
With rings on.
Yeah. Mandarin.
Right now, as you sit here today, do you stand by your testimony and your accusations against Johnny Depp about abuse?
Of course, and I will to my dying day. I know what happened to me. I'm here as a survivor. I, to my dying day, will stand by every word of my testimony.
To support her allegations, her attorney showed photos of injuries they said were caused by Depp. One alleged beating happened in 2015, before Amber appeared on The Late Late Show with James Corden.
Exhibit 16.
Well, Arnold, the hotel thing with Depp is a bit of a cliche in his life. He was sort of known for destroying hotels from the 21 Jump Street years, which I think for a short time he lived in a hotel before they set him up there in his earlier years, and he got into a tiff with a Vancouver security, and that was a story. I mean, at the time, it's not what it is. Media is not what it is now, and so it was hard to find out shit about that, other than just and as a teenager, you're not really seeing. It was just tough to find gossip back then. The way it is now, and I wish it was different. But and then years later with the Kate Moss stuff, when he was promoting Ed Wood, so he was like known for hotel destroying, and she just took those stories and turned it into, which is her MO.
Well,
to take
if you rewatch that testimony, and I watched that today too, from the Hicksville guy, the owner at the time, and she was never expecting him to show up. She stares him down like he is nothing, like she should scrape him off the bottom of her shoe. Like she is so above him, and she the weird thing is too, she makes up these stories when she's testifying. He was wearing a mesh shirt, and I still laugh whenever Camille asks him, "Were you wearing a mesh shirt?" He goes, "I would never wear that." But yeah, she never expected all of these randos to come forward.
No.
They've gained nothing out of this really, other than a few followers on Twitter. They'll be forgotten in a couple of months.
I think you and Crazy Robin could ghostwrite texts for Depp, as she writes here. This is right out of Depp's texting playbook. Her puss viscosity and odor enveloped him, and the odor stayed in his nostrils like Vicks vapor rub. Now, couldn't you see that's something Lord Byron would write to Paul Bettany?
Yes, those are her feminine charms. That odor is referred to as a feminine charm.
Dearest Paulie, it's like her puss viscosity and odor enveloped him, and the odor stayed in his nostrils like Vicks vapor rub.
No.
Makeup artist saw Amber the day of the alleged incident and said she didn't see any injuries. But the next day,
she had a discoloration here under both eyes and on the bridge of the nose, and she had what I would call a split lip.
a nurse testified she saw Amber's bloody lip.
Spot on. Dare to be different. AH is a narcissistic, sociopathic traits, all the above, and borderline personality disorders. If anybody has the time to look up the traits for all those things, she hits every single criteria. It's like you don't have to be Fraser Crane to see that, or Dr. Mickler from Don Juan DeMarco. She's a con artist.
Since it's going to take you a while to get there, thank you, Sunflower Dragon, for the $10.
Oh, she's such a. What's the female version
You're
of
way
Mensch?
behind.
I know. Great broad, that Sunflower. Depp was officially dazed and confused.
She told you that was a result of.
Now, again, we go over these witnesses. This is one of those soporific witnesses this is Nurse Erin Burren, who this was a tough watch when we did this in real time.
But if you read the notes on the side, it's a lot of important information. It's like all of the
this needs to be transcripted. I think there should be better transcripted, and you read it yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Because they lose you on these fucking Zoom, Skype, echoey things. I don't know why, but they do, and we zone out. And there's a lot of information being dispensed.
The altercation with Mr. Depp, right? Right.
And Amber's sister took the stand and told the story of one fight that she said included Depp hitting her, something Depp denies.
He comes up behind me, strikes me in the back, kind of just somewhere over here. He strikes me in the back. I hear Amber shout, "Don't hit my sister." She smacks him, lands one, and then he grabbed Amber by the hair with one hand and was whacking her repeatedly in the face with the other.
Oh.
Mr. Depp, we've talked about this.
Amber's side also played its own snippets of audio. Amber talking to Depp about acts of violence.
Oh, listen to this.
Cigarettes out on someone else.
I want to answer Zach's question here. Zach asked, did Depp basically hire her for Rum Diaries because she thought she was hot or actually believed in her acting? When Depp properly gets interviewed, Zach, I would love to hear someone with the balls to ask him that, exactly how that went down and how he was fooled and what he saw in her, because I've never gotten a detail. I've seen him dance around it, but I've never seen a detailed answer enough for me, because that's why we're here. Because she was able to charm him enough and fool him, and she was this precocious old soul, and then put him in a midlife crisis, pussy fog at the same. I would love to see him address this.
About this.
Amber's side also played its own snippets of audio. Amber talking to Depp about acts of violence.
Put your cigarettes out on someone else. You have consequences for your actions. That's it.
Shut up, fat ass.
What do you think about that, Sarah? He's
I
putting
think she
cigarette
know-
butts out on her.
I think she knows she's being recorded, or she's recording this. He explained one of the cigarettes. She would freak out. Like if believe me, I'm not for cigarette smoking. I think it's disgusting and the ashes hurt. But like an ash would blow on her and she would freak out like he had put the cigarette out on her.
And exaggerate that he's actually taking the full cigarette.
Yeah.
And that right.
Meanwhile,
and stabbing
that's
her
what
with
she
it.
did to him.
Right. Wait a minute, it could be.
And
I'm
he's
kinda
hitting
leaning to-
back. He's hitting back at the one thing that he knows he can use. Shut up, fat ass.
What's that wide load,
Yeah.
yo?
He does that, absolutely. But isn't that the reactive abuse that Don Hughes was talking about? That's okay.
You call it Dawn?
Mm-hmm.
You calling her
Let's
Dawn?
play this.
Welcome, Gina Bobina. Always great to Bobina size our chat.
Week prior, after you beat the out of me.
What did he say after that? Oh,
Then
you cut it
there
off.
was this video.
That was the result.
Somewhere over here, and then he grabbed Amber by the hair with one hand and was
About this.
Amber's side also played its own snippets of audio. Amber talking to Depp about acts of violence.
Put your cigarettes out on someone else. You have consequences for your actions. That's it.
Shut up, fat ass.
A week prior, after you beat the out of me.
What happened?
Then there was this video.
What did you miss, Sarah? You didn't miss anything.
No, I was talking to them, Dateline. They cut it off after she says that.
Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about.
No, I'm not yelling at you. I'm yelling at them.
It sounded like there was some a phrase that he repeated.
No,
it's
no,
easy
what
to
she
do.
said was, for you beating the shit out of me, and then they cut it off. I want to know what
Okay.
he said after that.
Well, we can go. We have the audio. We have the audio somewhere. I need to listen to the whole thing again.
Yeah.
I gotta. I don't know what the sequence is.
There's one where she accuses him of hitting her, and he says, "I pushed you."
Yeah. My favorite thing is when he goes. It's not my favorite thing. It's just one of the things. I was running around yesterday. I couldn't. I had this like Tourette syndrome or just this OCD where I just kept going. How does it go? He goes. Oh, you brought up my kid again, just like in London, like you design. Oh,
That's
great. And I can't understand if he says desire
I
or
can't figure it out
design.
either. I've listened to that 20 times.
Oh, you brought up my kid again, just like in London, like you design. Next show, we got to play this and see what people think he's saying, because I've listened to it 6,000 times, and I just cannot make that word out. It's somewhere between designed and desire.
I know.
Did something happen to you this morning? I don't think so.
I was waiting for you to say that with him.
Oh, you're crazy. You're crazy.
Have you drunk this whole thing this morning?
Really?
You would agree that.
Welcome, Vita Simpson.
Oh,
Vita J. Simpson, a new Deppening chat listener. Welcome, Vita. Vanessa is actually a huge French star, singer as well as actor, model career since age 14. We don't pay attention to the French as we do the British artists in the country. Everybody in Canada, Vita, says that Vanessa is a massive star in French, Canadian, sort of Montreal. So I knew she'd done a film or two, but in America, they called her the French Madonna, but in America, Go ahead.
I stumbled in my recommendations on YouTube since it's all Johnny Depp. One of her videos came up where she's singing live. I don't get it.
It's very difficult to find speaking interview audio of her.
Yeah.
I know I've looked. Maybe you can look and find. I should look maybe a little harder. There's TMZ stuff where she's walking. She's going to France, and
With Lily
LAX.
Rose. Yeah.
Yeah, and so, but you're not really getting a full blown, half-hour sit down interview with her. It's very, very tough. She's very, very mysteriously dodgy, and I don't know what do you what kind of he paid her out, right, Sarah? What we found out?
He bought her a house. I don't
Bought her a
remember.
house and something else, some other. He threw money at her in some capacity. I can't remember what.
It could
I'm
have been
sure she's
like,
well taken care. Knowing him, I'm sure she's very well taken care of.
would it be called just maybe he just gave her a lump sum and I don't know,
Yeah.
whatever.
You were violent in that clip, correct?
Clearly I was having a bad time. Yes.
You didn't
I
react.
did assault
It's a mouse.
a couple of cabins,
Depp's
but I
mouth.
did not touch
No, her
Miss
mouth.
Heard.
You poured yourself a mega pint of
Sorry.
red wine, correct?
A mega pint.
Yeah.
I poured my
Even though, I mean, we get a little nuts with that line.
I know, but the way he says it, I laugh.
His
every
subtle
time.
sarcasm's always great. He's the master at subtle sarcasm, and it gave us the license to laugh in this trial. We
Yeah.
can laugh again. Depp gave us permission to laugh again. And it was like, oh, well, we're talking about a very serious subject here, not just defamation of his life, but there's sexual rape and there's all sorts of, and we're laughing here. And I was like, okay, we're not taking her seriously at all. But it kind of gave everybody like, you don't laugh in a trial like this, right?
Mhm.
Somehow we don't take anything seriously. She does. And
There's
that,
just a level of ridiculousness on both sides
yeah.
where you can't with her you can't take it seriously because none of it makes sense. With him, yeah, he's being a dick, but the way he does it, it's hilarious because you're meant to hate Rottenborn.
Yeah,
And
I mean the names are there.
exactly.
It's like right out of a magistrate from fucking Sleepy Hollow. It's
Mhm.
crazy. These names, it's like they made them up. They made up villain lawyers for you to hate. The way he looks, he's got the classic fucking Ivy League lacquered hair, and he's just, it's the sarcasm and he's arrogant and the name. It's
It's
all
like
there.
it's like Ralph Macchio taking on oh my God, what's
My
the
cousin
blonde?
Vinny.
No, in
Oh,
Karate Kid.
Elizabeth Shue.
No, the guy.
Oh,
What's his
Johnny.
name?
Friggin'
Oh my God, I know this.
Z-
Johnny.
Zab,
Yeah, Billy Zabka.
Zabnik, Billy Zabka, right?
It's like, yeah,
Oh, my
Ralph Macchio
Billy
taking on Billy
Zabka
Zabka.
over here.
Yeah.
When I was in Canada, I was Depp started dating Vanessa, and Sunflower Dragon was like, "Who does he think he is?" And I was wow, I guess she's that big in Canada. That's what
I
Gina
guess.
Bobina said too, and I think G Canada also verified that. I had no idea. I just knew her from him. I had no idea. They called her the French Madonna. I kept hearing that over and over again.
Yeah.
myself a large glass of wine.
And I should say he met her because of the monster Roman Polanski. He wouldn't even. Well, he knew her actually before. So we found out they started knowing each other from the Viper Room days in '94, and she was with Lenny Kravitz.
Mhm.
And then they'd still known it, and I was under the false impression that they were introduced, but they'd known each other already. So
His
in
name was
he
Romeo
did the ninth
Blue.
game.
Don't call him Lenny Kravitz. It was Romeo Blue. That
Romeo
And
Blue.
remember what Depp said about that fight in Australia when his finger was severed? Amber denied hurting him and said on that trip she was
It's
the
again
real
Sunflower
victim.
Dragon.
This is where
Amber
I tuned
went
in.
on to describe a harrowing incident of sexual abuse. She testified that Depp assaulted her with a bottle.
But I could just feel this pressure.
So bad.
And I remember just not wanting to move because I didn't know if the bottle that he had inside me was broken.
In that courtroom,
You'd know, sweets.
I am testifying about sexual assault and domestic violence next to a jury in front of a whole packed courtroom of
people who are expressing their vocal support and disdain for me.
Amber had told her story.
Sitting here today, Ms.
Now she would be forced to defend it.
Coming up, what the jury never saw.
There's a binder worth of notes that were taken by my doctor. Her notes represented.
Yeah, Pellel, that's a great point you bring up, an addendum to what Sarah and I were talking about with the penthouses and her friends and stuff. She was trying to get at him when Johnny said she didn't want her to work, therefore being dependent on him. That's exactly right. So she played on the fact as soon as she goes, why does she even have to work? It's ridiculous. So as soon as she knew that, and it became this kind of Coachella con artist, Mardi Gras in the penthouses and bringing her friends in and stuff. As soon as she had that leverage, she's like, okay, well, I don't have to, you're going to run that up the flagpole. And she's only going to work when it's absolutely this perfect scenario. And any job she got, we found out, he got her from Aquaman to fucking, the Adderall Diaries and the London Fields, the Billy Bob, because he agreed to do a goddamn cameo in that awful movie,
Yeah.
which I'm sure haunts him to this day.
Yeah, it's horrible. The notes that she's just referring to, when you look at this, keep in mind the format of the notes, which are odd. Everything that I've been reading about therapist notes, thank God there are none on me. There should be, but there aren't. They don't usually write them out like a novel, and usually the doctor's name is somewhere on these notes.
Are you allowed to read your own therapist notes if
I
you're
don't
a
know.
patient?
I guess you can subpoena. I don't know, but she also the handwriting on these notes is very similar to hers.
Oh yeah, I've heard that theory too before, that she's forging her own therapist notes. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Sometimes handwriting, I'd like to think she's capable of that. Definitely.
Do you really have, when you're sitting there taking notes, do you want to, shorten your notes up as much as possible to get everything in while your patient's talking? Or are you going to write everything out like, the King's English novella?
Vita J. Simpson is a Vanessa parody super fan. It is amazing. That, God bless you, Vita. Vanessa has received I've heard this, has even received France's highest honors in both singing and acting. The list goes on. The list literally goes on and on and on. And gave Johnny 2 children. Amber can't touch Vanessa parodies.
I
Oh, you're
I
right,
agree
Vita.
with that. I think
That's
he regrets every day that he ended that relationship.
If you want to see her in action, everyone, and I don't know, maybe we could do a watch along with this. Kevin Smith has a relationship with the Depp family because his daughter Harley Quinn is best friends with Lily Rose. They went to school together. They grew up. They're in a movie called Yoga Hosers, which is a spin-off of Tusk, or the sequel to this. So Depp has a cameo. Depp plays a private investigator called Guy Lapointe in the movie, and in this, Kevin Smith, and he is the king of cronyism and nepotism and throwing his friend. Vanessa Paradis is in Yoga Hosers. She plays a French teacher, and she's actually really good in the movie. And she has this like French monologue, and she may be playing herself. And in the end of the movie, Lily Rose sings the Canadian national anthem to end the movie in the ending credits, and Depp plays guitar with her during the. It's the best guitar I've seen Depp play, by the way, too. I think he's actually playing the Canadian national anthem.
Years of what was going on.
Again, too, if you tell a therapist aliens came down and took you, they have to write that down.
One thing about the hotel smashing thing with Depp, I don't know if it's come up in the trial, maybe not. It's just this is my nerd facts. In the hotel, the Mark Hotel in New York in 1994, the hotel room next to Depp's was Roger Daltrey, who is, I guess, the Who was known for destroying hotel rooms. And so the irony was that Roger Daltrey called hotel security on Depp for destroying his hotel room, and the Who became known for smashing hotel rooms. And it was like the hypocrisy back. I remember that being a thing back then. And then Marlon Brando apparently bailed him out when he got arrested.
Your lies have been exposed to the world multiple times, right?
I haven't lied about anything I've been here to say.
After describing the abuse she says she suffered at the hands of Johnny Depp, Amber Heard then faced his attorney, Camille Vasquez.
Ms. Heard?
And things
Ms.
like
Heard?
that.
Vasquez.
Vasquez set out to convince jurors they couldn't trust a word that came out of Amber's mouth.
You got physical with Mr. Depp often during your relationship, didn't you?
I had to defend myself as best I could.
You just couldn't control yourself, could you, Ms. Heard? Who was the real monster in this relationship, Ms. Heard?
Depp's team argued that Amber had a history of being untruthful. Case in point,
$7 million in total was donated to, I split it between the ACLU and Children's Hospital of Los Angeles.
they played a clip from an interview on Dutch TV where she said she had donated her $7 million divorce settlement to charity.
I want to address Zach and Crazy Robin. Don't get intimidated by my depth nerd knowledge. Do not. It's just not gonna. You're all welcome on here in some capacity. We'll find a way for you. Do not feel this is supposed to be fun. Don't. If the last thing you should be remotely intimidated by is my knowledge of the cast of The Astronaut's Wife, Crazy Robin and Zach.
But it was revealed at trial that you haven't done so yet.
John
Do
O'Reilly,
you think
welcome.
that raised questions as to your credibility with the jury?
Well, I think, look, when you say to someone, I bought a house, are you lying?
She loves this.
Because you have not paid for it in full at that point? I made a pledge, and that pledge is made over time by its nature.
You're splitting hairs a little bit there, because when you say I donated, you know that everybody thinks that you've donated it, not that you've pledged it.
for you.
So for the jurors sitting there,
Oh, make no mistake, Savannah Guthrie's very good at what she does. She's actually one of the best hard-hitting interviewers on there. And she, again, her husband worked on the Depp team as a researcher and kind of did help the legal team out, which is, and she actually addressed that in the previous interview you guys saw when she Guthrie talked to Camille and Chu, and she addresses it in the very beginning. She had to like put it up front. I'm not. How did she word it again? Maybe I could play it. I should have fused it into this, but it's weird that she would choose Guthrie. Guthrie slapped around Trump and somebody else, and she's really good. Like I said, that morning show, that Jennifer Aniston character on that morning show is a really good show on the Apple stream service, and it's completely based on her and the Matt Lauer stuff.
do you think they felt like that was you getting caught in a lie?
I don't know.
They do
because
seem like
so
Florida
much
girls,
of
so flowery.
I feel like so much of the trial was meant to cast aspersions on who I am as a human, my credibility, to call me a liar in every way you can.
Whitney,
And
That
more.
was the trial. It was a credibility contest. Depp's team also painted Amber as an attention seeker, saying she wrote that 2018 op-ed to coincide with the release of Aquaman. And they suggested this was a publicity stunt, a way to raise your profile at a time when these issues were quite relevant.
It was one of those few moments of levity in the trial when I heard it suggested that my op-ed in the Washington Post could potentially boost sales for an international multi-million-dollar superhero franchise movie that I was starring in. It's the other way around. If anything, we're trying to get more awareness and attention on the issues within the article.
It wasn't a publicity stunt or a way to...
It's the opposite,
Depp's lawyers called witnesses to challenge Amber's stories of abuse.
Heard logic.
Sunflower Dragon. I think she puts cigarettes out on people. She's going to put her cigarettes on people and her baby. Does anybody believe she didn't have in mind the hubris and the arrogance of the success of Aquaman as it's now? You kind of knew at that point it was going to be DC's #1 movie. That she just had this. She was, and I'm going to take on this thing. And I got to remind everyone, when we read the Rolling Stone piece on Depp, he was on the balls of his ass, if that's possible, in what his status is. At the lowest point of his superstardom, when public sentiment was probably against him, and the media, and I hate saying it, but the major media were afraid to remotely tell the truth or have his back in any way, shape, or
And they
form from
still
the
are.
Hollywood, and they still are to some extent. From the Hollywood Reporter to Variety to Rolling Stone, Depp went to Rolling Stone because he thought, well, it's a Hunter S. Thompson staple. Jan Wenner and I have a relationship. They're going to do the right thing, and they're going to go. But I love this article. So Depp thought it was a hit piece. I don't consider it a hit piece. When we do this episode on it, the guy just spoke to what he saw and what he gave some opinions. It's a really good piece. Depp called it a hit piece. He then segues to GQ, which he thought he was going to get a bit of, and another very really intimate, good piece on him when he's kind of at the lowest point. I mean, this is Sarah. Would you say it's him at his lowest?
Yeah,
These
absolutely.
two, yeah, 2018, in and around those times. These two articles, and we're going to do a show on those. I'm going to narrate it, and we'll stop it and go over it. If you don't see the, and again, his lawyer Adam Waldman, who is the lawyer that he should have had, who was not allowed to represent him in the UK because of the Twitter stuff, right? It was like he was deemed a loose cannon, and that he was
He
disqualified
was
from
removed, yeah.
removed, but he's been consulting with them the entire time. So he was much more involved in this trial than people realize, giving them, rehearsing with them, dotting their I's. You just don't see him until he testified. But Adam Waldman is the original lawyer, Pitbull lawyer he wanted on the case, and he was not allowed to be.
One of Depp's friends testified about that fight on a plane when Amber says he kicked her.
And it's your testimony that Mr. Depp didn't kick Amber?
I didn't see anything like that.
And to counter the photographic evidence of Amber's injuries, Depp's lawyers showed the jury a slew of pictures of the actress looking unblemished after the alleged abuse.
Your nose doesn't appear to be injured.
So let's talk about cigarette burns in the chat. Do you remember that 21 Jump Street episode? It's like she binge watched Jump Street with the Coachella Con artist. When the Greco's debut episode in season 3, there's a whole storyline. There's a whole trope about cigarette burns.
I know, but that's already known before 21
No,
Jump
I'm
Street.
saying, but it's almost like she used that. It's eerily similar. Oh my God, I gotta go back
Well,
and
she's
watch
turning
that.
things around. Then she
Tracy
did
Edwards.
to him, she's saying he did to her. That's what she's done her whole life.
Did God give you a get out of jail free card? People don't like to send their kids to high school with rapists who burn crosses. Now, do you think you're exempt from certain laws because you like yourself? You're going to jail.
In any of these pictures, does it, Miss Heard?
That's why I'm wearing makeup.
Amber testified that some of the photos Depp's lawyers brought to court were taken days, even weeks after the alleged injuries occurred.
What I learned in that trial is it's...
Laura Marie goes, Depp calling Amber fat is insane. That's low.
Yeah,
That is
but
low.
I agree. If I heard that, I would be devastated.
He just knows that's where it hits her the hardest. He knows she's not. I mean,
Of course, but her therapist got on the stand and said whatever she said to him was just reactive abuse. So why isn't that the same for him?
and she's kind of anorexic, and so he's going for like the lowest, hanging thing. I don't think he fat shames. I think it's the first time he's probably ever said that in his life.
It's never
let it
going
play.
to be good enough. If you have proof, then it was a scheme. It was a hoax. If you don't have proof, it didn't happen. If you have a bruise, it's fake. If you don't have a bruise, then violence clearly didn't hurt you. If you told people, then you're hysterical. If you didn't tell anyone, it didn't happen.
You also told this jury.
When it came to Amber's most explosive testimony, the sexual assault, Depp's team pointed out the allegations only came up after her divorce. In court, attorney Camille Vasquez pulled no punches.
You testified you bled from your vagina as a result of that sexual assault.
Yes.
There aren't any medical records reflecting that you sought medical treatment for any of these injuries, are there?
I did not seek medical treatment after Australia, no.
Not for the rape?
No, I did not want to tell anyone.
There's no experience like being cross-examined. What was that?
Tiger Lily, Sarah has a theory about the bottle in the cooch thing that was really sealed her fate. No one bought that. I agree. What's your theory, Sarah, as to how that comes up?
Why it comes up?
Yeah, the bottle rape thing.
I don't
Remember
remember
that
my
your theory
theory.
was that's her kinky fetish,
Oh, I
and
don't know.
she tried to have him do that, and then she turned that into that he
I
forced it
said
on
that
her.
early on, but it never came up, so he never
Well,
used it.
he may not have said it. I that could definitely possibly be.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe
Let's
she
just say it
asked.
is. How about we say it is?
That experience like for you?
You know, the scariest, most intimidating thing for anybody talking about sexual violence is not being believed, being called a liar, or being humiliated.
Throughout the trial, both sides fought to get additional evidence in front of the jury to bolster their claims. Some of it was deemed hearsay under the rules of evidence and declared inadmissible by the judge. Is there one piece of evidence that you wish the jury had seen, that you could point to? You say, this would have made the difference.
Yeah.
What is it?
There's a binder worth of years of notes dating back to 2011 from the very beginning of my relationship.
Crazy Robin writes, therapist notes must be subpoenaed. When a therapist is really, really skilled and trained, they take very little notes in a format, and then they can fill it in after the session. That is a
When
great
they
point.
show a screenshot of the notes, look at them and tell me that that's not kind of off.
Yeah.
But first of all, therapist notes are hearsay for a reason.
That were taken by my doctor, who I was reporting the abuse to.
And look for a doctor's
That doctor
name.
was Amber's therapist at the time.
No, that's the real name, Tiger Lily, Harley Quinn. After not even just it's the Batman, the animated series. She was created for the animated series. She came in the comics and later. So yeah, it's just after that. He's just a poser and someone needs to tell Kevin Smith no. By the way, that's a Weinstein guy too. He owes Harvey Weinstein everything he has. Depp was in Depp was in Finding Neverland. Shock-a-Lot are both Miramax movies. Depp had that story about Weinstein where he said, what was it, Sarah? He picked up Weinstein's daughter with him when they were doing. I don't
I don't
know
know
if it
much
was.
about that story.
He went to pick up. He went with Weinstein to pick up Weinstein's daughter at high school, and he said that this monster rapist is picking his daughter up and hugging her, and it was a crazy thing to, when all that. I think he says it in the Rolling Stone piece. They ask him about Weinstein.
Oh,
Now he's
okay,
getting
okay.
lumped in with Weinstein. He goes, my recollection is going to pick up his daughter with him at school, and this big, raping monster picks his daughter up and gives her a hug. It's the only thing I can think of. And so that was from the Rolling Stone piece.
Mm-hmm.
We looked at notes the doctor took during some of their sessions, which show that as far back as 2012, Amber was talking about physical abuse. In January of that year, she told her therapist Depp hit her, threw her on the floor. After that, ripped her nightgown, threw her on bed. And in 2013, the therapist's notes say he threw her against a wall and threatened to kill her.
I am talking about what's happening to me in real time. She was taking contemporaneous notes of what was happening.
Amber's lawyers also showed us text messages that were excluded from trial, like this one she sent to another therapist saying,
let's read that for a second. 11 a.m. Thursday, or I know you Coachella Con artists get up at like 2 in the afternoon, right? Hope you're okay. Johnny did a number on me tonight. I'm safe and with my support tonight, but I need some real help. Can I come tomorrow? I called earlier because I thought I had a concussion. I didn't know if I should have called the police, but I have a nurse close to me, and Rocky and her have been here for me the whole time. Can I see you tomorrow? Look at her stupid abbreviation of tomorrow. Just write the whole thing out, you idiot. You already wrote it the first time. Wow, and then these could be doctored. This is
No,
doctored.
they're actual text messages. But
Okay, so
she was already in the thick of her plan. She was already setting them up.
December 16th.
Yes, that was 15th was when she said it happened, and then like the 23rd she took off to the island for Christmas.
Has anyone ever texted their therapist at midnight
She's just laying
I know, like, well, it's
the
just funny. I
basis
think
for
she
this
expects her
claim.
to write it right back. Let me text my therapist at 12:03 a.m.
You can say anything in a text message, but
I
still,
know.
there's no medical record.
Saying, Johnny did a number on me. I thought I had a concussion. And this text message she says she sent to her father after.
I keep not fighting back. He literally kicked me and called me a "see you next Tuesday" in front of everyone on the plane. This is March 24th, 2014. I believe this is during the filming and the back and forth of Black Mass, the Whitey Bulger movie, and he was taking her back and forth to New York to do the awful Adderall Diaries with Franco, and that started some of the problem. It's humiliating. So she's accusing the security and not stepping in.
Well, it's kind of dark too. You involve like strangers and even your parents in this,
Yeah.
just so you can create some evidence. Well, look, I sent this text message back when it was happening, and you're involving them. And keep in mind,
Whoever's
there's a
gonna,
reason her father didn't testify.
yeah, and I was crazy. I thought I was one of the first things I thought for
He gave a
sure he
video
was gonna.
deposition,
Yeah.
but they never played it.
Where can we get that? Oh, I'd love to see
It's
that.
probably destroyed.
Years ago, I was able to I followed Whitney Hurd on Instagram. I think it's all private now, so I'm pre-approved now, and you go back and look at some of her old. It's really interesting to see the of her kind of coming to Hollywood and her just trying to, and tons of stuff with her dad, and it's really crazy.
That disputed incident on the plane. She wrote, he kicked me in front of everyone.
I testified I was attacked on that flight, and I was attacked in front of people. And when I got off the plane, sent messages to people about what had happened. I'm angry because this happened. Can you believe he did this and this and this, And one of the people I reached out to was my father.
Depp's lawyers say the judge's rulings were fair, and a Depp spokesperson told us it's unfortunate that the defendant and her team are back to repeating, reimagining, and relitigating matters that have already been decided by the court. Amber thinks the case wasn't just decided inside the courtroom. She believes what happened outside made all the difference.
Coming up,
The majority of this trial was played out outside of a courtroom.
the social media storm. Did it affect the verdict?
You think the jury saw it? No. How could they not?
When Dateline continues.
That's what prompted this juror to come out. If it's a valid juror, she's accusing this jury pool of things that they were, advised not to do every day.
Right.
But obviously, because they said she lied, they were influenced. They broke the rules. No, not necessarily.
I do agree that it's impossible to avoid it. I mean, they do have to leave the same way. But I mean, you're not, like I said before, that there's no socialism for social media. You don't have to, there's no law that says there has to be even-handed feedback for both. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Who thinks like that? And she knows where it's going. And they've been vetted. And if, it's like anything else. If they favoring you, they're right. If they favor him, they're crazy. They've not been influenced.
Put some of
Whatever's
the
going to
blame on
hold
that
up her.
performance that you
Yeah,
gave on the stand.
well, that's just her not taking accountability for anything.
She doesn't know how
That's
to.
right in line. I mean, that's kind of a subtle way to do it. Is you blame the jurors being influenced. They're looking on the. How could you not? Surely, but they deliberated in a way, and they were over and over hammered home. You better. And I really think they gave it as much. Knowing the evidence that just piled on over and over again, how could they possibly, if all seven are on it, it's not 4 out of 7. It's all 7. She's got nothing here.
She had going into this. She had a 95% chance of winning this. And look what happened. She presented her case and it fell apart.
That was what they said, or wasn't it the odds, the Vegas odds?
Yeah, if you watch the law tube in the early days, most of them were like, he's not going to win this. And then she put on her case.
It's so simple. All they got to do is prove she's allowed to use the
She had to
word
just
abuse
she just had to
once.
keep it simple. Blame her.
And his charisma was so strong, and she's so hateable and couldn't present the most obvious shit. And she's, obviously on the stand too long because she wants to have, this is going to be her insane, like, gold, you know, um, feminazi moment to champion the ACLU, and she's going to stay on as long as and thinking that again, like she's auditioning for casting directors as she's doing it, and I couldn't, and then she just got exposed for all these awful personality flaws and hubris and the borderline personality disorder, the narcissistic disorder, over and over, and even the most naive among us saw through it. People who I don't even consider cynical didn't buy it. Just complete dunderheads who you don't, know are never synonymous with, reading into things or just analyzing anything. Even the most densest among us saw through this. I couldn't believe some of the people that didn't buy it. Wow, that idiot stopped buying it. She's sunk.
Let's finish it. We have a lot to do today.
There's a text message where Johnny promises total global humiliation for you.
No.
Do you feel like that came true?
I know he promised it. I testified to this. I'm not a good victim, I get it. I'm not a likable victim. I'm not a perfect victim, I get it. I'm not a saint. I'm not asking anyone to like.
Cooper asked a question, will we ever get Judge Oz Karate's take on the trial? Is she allowed to comment on it? Not at all.
Not while she's apparently not while she's on the bench.
She has to resign?
After she retires, she can.
Retire? Okay. I didn't know that.
That's how it was anyway for the OJ trial. Judge Ito couldn't comment on it until after he had retired.
Supposedly Monique has a friend of a friend who knows Oz Karate, and I'm sure they got, what party she goes to. And I don't know if she's not allowed to talk about it at all. And I'm sure she seems like someone who's pretty airtight with her morals. I can't see her cracking. I just can't. She's a Marine, for Christ's sake.
Like me, but when I testified, I asked the jury to just see me as human and hear his own words, which is a promise to do this, a promise to humiliate me, a promise to ruin me.
Gina Bobina goes, "Oh my God, shut the F up with your face." It's like you just can't even think of it. The most primal shit just comes out of people when they see her. This is what she's elicited to the jury. That's in the jury. This is what she gave up. This is how you lose. Optics, it's everything, and lack of charisma.
It feels as though he has.
As the trial unfolded inside that Virginia courtroom, Amber Heard and Johnny Depp were being judged in the court of public opinion.
This Johnny Depp Amber Heard thing has been going on for a little bit now, and it's gotten pretty wild.
Though both stars had their supporters on social media, there is no question that the internet sided against Amber Heard.
Ew, this is so cringe. Guilty.
I mean, this was a sort of medieval orgy of hatred.
Michelle Goldberg is an opinion columnist for the New York Times.
Of course,
I think it was, people really enjoyed joining in. That's, often the case with mob behavior. And I think that's essentially what this was. It was kind of, misogynist mob behavior.
Pell brings up a
Okay,
good.
you're never
By the
going to
way,
be on TV again.
She's on MSNBC.
Good for her.
Well,
See,
I'm giving
watches.
you a Washington Post connection.
You're the only person that watches that.
The Washington Post is completely in bed with MSNBC. Hence, they can't tell the truth about this trial, and they avoided it.
They don't even mention
the
it
entire
on
time.
MSNBC.
They don't even mention it.
They leave it to their Karens to attack.
Pell, I think you're absolutely. I think contemporaneous notes is. I think she meant copious notes. Contemporaneous doesn't make any sense in regards to notes and how she used it. That's classic Amber Heard, reaching for a word she has no business using. I really think you're right about that. I think she meant copious, because you can't say notes without saying copious in front of it, right?
Online, people picked apart Amber's every move. Videos ridiculed her facial expressions and accused her of faking emotion on the stand.
This
This is just a fake crying train wreck you can't look away from.
Johnny, you hit me.
They love this one.
You hit me.
It was really striking to me to see all of these people engaging in this trend of reenacting her testimony.
And I was walking out of the bedroom, slapped me across the face.
I don't think I've ever seen anything like this. A domestic violence trial becoming this source of national hilarity.
One of the most infamous moments in the trial was when Johnny Depp suggested she...
Go ahead, Sarah.
No, they're making fun of it because it doesn't make sense.
Right. And it's so strong that your primal instinct is to goof around and laugh and not take it seriously. I mean, this is a very serious topic, supposedly. I don't remember being having this moment lightened like this in the history of this subject matter, where you just never even considered taking it seriously. I mean, from the people in the courtroom laughing to us at home to that, it's her credibility and her plausibility is just torn limb from limb in every way, shape, and form. And I think it really didn't start until she took the stand, right? I mean, it really went into hyperdrive the first few days she took the stand. We were kind of right. There was no light tone until then.
No,
Right?
we were all nervous because we were afraid she was going to get up there and destroy. And then immediately after like the first hour, where she started off very well, I bought it. You know,
Right.
if I didn't know, I would buy it. And then she turned to shit. She turned it on and it turned to shit.
may have defecated on their bed.
And on my side of the bed was human fecal matter.
Amber denied it, but that didn't stop the internet from branding her with a viral nickname.
I saw what was happening to me in real time. I don't care what one thinks about me or what judgments you want to make about what happened in the privacy of my own home and my marriage behind closed doors. I don't presume the average person should know those things, and so I don't take it personally. But even somebody who is sure I'm deserving of all this hate and vitriol,
Yep.
even if you think
Rooster doesn't find Depp all that charismatic. You're probably in the minority there, Rooster. He don't get. I mean, some of this stuff this guy has pulled off through pure charisma is crazy. When you can do roles where you don't even have to speak, and your charisma speaking, but you are entitled to that opinion. It is completely subjective and arbitrary. But I'll you're probably in the minority there, Rooster.
that I'm lying, you still couldn't tell me, look me in the eye and tell me that you think on social media there's been a fair representation. You cannot
Yes, I can.
tell me that you think that this.
Go ahead, tell her, Sarah.
If you're lying, yes, it's more than fair the way you're treated online. You should be in jail if you're lying. You're lucky you're not. And you're
Well,
also lucky he's probably not going to come after you for the money.
Like I said, where is there a rule? Has Congress passed a rule that social media has to be fair
I
to
know,
two
Jeff.
parties, and then
Mhm.
you have to listen to it? Have you? I mean, I'm not influenced by. I can form my own opinions. Can
Mhm.
you? I don't let social media tell me what to believe. Like say sports.
I avoid it as long as I can.
I'm a huge Russell Westbrook fan.
Mhm.
Social media destroys him all day. You think that sways my opinion? You think I'm
Yeah.
going to let them tell me how brilliantly entertaining that guy is for me to
Oh,
watch? And he's got his
trust
flaws.
me.
I'm not
What
letting anybody tell me what to like.
what do you think I'm going through right now with the Browns on social
Mm.
media? My
And Deshaun
God.
Watson, that's a really good
I
one.
didn't
Yeah.
want to say his name.
Real fans, real people with their own independent thinking brains can think for themselves. And that's exactly what you do.
Mhm.
That's a perfect example. Deshaun Watson and the Browns right now. It might even be better than me and Westbrook.
I have even put all Brown. I used to be huge in not. I don't want to make this sound wrong. I used to like spend half my day looking at Brown's Twitter, right, and loving it. You know, getting into tussles with people about Baker Mayfield once in a while. But I have had to put all of that on ignore until the season starts. I'm still going to follow my team. I hope he is my quarterback, despite the controversy. If he did all this, punish him. But he hasn't been it hasn't been proven yet. So can we stop, tying the rope and going after him until
If,
then?
as I think about it, if you really have passionate knowledge about something, is anybody in the chat influenced by its social media? Have you ever, have you been swayed? Because when you're dead set on knowing what you know, I don't think I've
Mhm.
ever been swayed in my life, and that's just speaking for me. And I'm sure most people in there agree with me. You have your own independent thoughts. How
Yeah.
much of a moron do you have to be to be
Mhm.
swayed by so? And you know what bullshit is?
Mhm.
Vita Simpson writes, I believe Depp wanted to be in a relationship so badly that he ignored all the red flags, thought if I loved more, well, while she studied and weakened her prey, she mistook his meekness for weakness. That's well said, Vita. That's exactly
Affy?
right. He's
Sorry. Go ahead. You
go
cut
ahead.
out.
No,
I
you
didn't
go.
hear
You
you.
go. You go. You go.
No, I'm sorry. Abby's making fun of me for saying my quarterback. Yes, I am a Browns fan. I'm going to say my quarterback. Look at what we've had the last 10 years in the quarterback department. We got Deshaun Watson, and then all this falls to shit. I'm going to say my quarterback. I put enough money into that team in merchandise. It's my quarterback.
If you guys don't go at least 12-5 this year, it's a disaster. I mean,
Well, I don't know. He
you,
might be.
you,
I don't even want to talk about this. I don't even know
I
why
mean,
I brought it up.
you've all pros at how many positions? The
I
best
know.
backfield I've ever seen, pretty much
I am finally at a
collectively.
point where I can watch my quarterback, step back to throw and not almost have a heart attack, hoping he doesn't throw an interception or the receiver doesn't catch it because he threw it like shit. And now this happens. I had a moment
I
of
know, I know.
happiness.
You're just a snake bitten franchise. I read this
I
thing.
know.
I was watching. Was watching this. What's this? This first take. Stephen A. Smith had Christopher Russo, Mad Dog Russo on. They got it. It's a really good debate. He's actually Russo's really
I,
good on that show. He's been
for
doing it for
once,
years.
I saw that. For once, I agree with Stephen A. Smith.
Well, you know what I'm getting at. It wasn't just
Yeah.
defending. It wasn't defending Watson.
And it's not
It was the
defending him.
Cleveland. Oh God.
I'm sorry, it's not defending him. It's let's wait before we say this guy is Bill Cosby part 2. Nope. He
I know.
again, I don't want to talk about this.
Well, why is Robert Kraft allowed back in the right? Isn't it exactly the same thing?
I know.
Happy end. It's
Well,
just a happy ending fest. Even if that were true, he's a lot. You know what I mean? Like, and
well,
who,
people are going to say it's, 26 versus, the one time Robert Kraft got caught, which I get. I get that argument. Trust
well,
me.
Stephen
And
A. Smith's
again,
point is, who is the NFL to be judge and jury? You're not law enforcement.
yeah.
Who? And if you know something, what the fuck's going on? How long are we going to let this drag out? You're in June now. What do you know?
Mhm.
What happened? Spill it now. Right?
Exactly.
How are you going to plan for this? It's a very big deal. You have the highest paid player in the NFL.
The
What do
theory
you know?
I've heard, because I did, unfortunately, I checked in on Brown's Reddit today. The theory I've heard, the latest, is it's going to be Goodell's going to push for a full season suspension, and then the NFLPA is going
Yeah.
to appeal it, and they'll move it down to a half a season. So, but just so Goodell can say, no, I suspended him for a year.
Yeah.
So
You can't do nothing. You have to look like
I know
you're
nobody cares about this. So let's get back to Depp.
Crazy Robin says Michelle Goldberg's husband is Democratic political, I think, but I do tend to like her. She appears impartial when she's questioned on TV. Yeah, Crazy Robin, but there's a thing now with the Washington Post and the MSNBC, and I don't trust this angle with them. And there's a lot of I just this is one of the things where they're senile with it and they have huge biases and they're just way off. They mostly probably rightfully left it alone because they know they can't give a good opinion on it. So I'm sure they had meetings over it, not cover it because they just can't win because
Maury
they're
boy
going to destroy their own.
and Maury boy, all I'm saying is we don't know yet. Maybe he did it. He's got issues, but we don't know yet that he did anything. So let's just wait. If he did it, throw him out of the NFL.
Yeah,
But until then, stop, coming after the man with pitchforks. Let's wait.
I got a pitchfork. Come after, honey. She. John O'Reilly says she said contemporaneous because she wants to establish the notes are in the moment and not after the fact. Okay, Maybe we'll give it that. I don't know. I got to go back and listen. You might be right. You probably, John O'Reilly often is right.
Has been fair. If Amber was the villain, then Johnny Depp was often portrayed as the hero.
This dude's such a stud.
People online found his grasp of the law charming.
That's hearsay, I guess. I'm learning.
And testimony about his drinking only seemed to
Subdued
endear him
charisma,
more to his
fellow.
digital fans.
You poured yourself a mega pint of red wine, correct?
Maury Boy writes, the mob would have been ridiculing Depp if they felt he was the one who was lying,
Yeah, exactly.
sociopathic and untrustworthy. Maury Boy, I'm telling you, nobody's followed this as close. I mean, Sarah's definitely on my heels about the start of this in 2000. I have never seen public sentiment so negative towards him during those years. I'm telling you, I might say that it was swayed against him for about 3 years.
Yeah. Well, the only thing I have on you, I maybe know a little bit more about the evidence than you do, like the minute details of the evidence, because I watch all these fucking wrap-up shows on this. But yeah, overall, from the beginning, you've been in it.
I'm going by. I'm not going by. I'm going by public sentiment.
Yeah, I know.
I followed public sentiment better than anybody, harder than anybody has, and I would read comment sections and I'm used to him being so beloved, and I just couldn't believe the groundswell of negativity again in him in a way that, and people were just, and again, this came at a time when his script selections so artistically, and then he was bombing at the box office with horrible artistic choices. So you have these two things colliding. Like artistically, he almost could have staved off. So just like, this guy is just, it was just, he's washed up. He can't pick a good movie anymore. And then there's this, and I'm tired of his act. And I don't want another Pirates movie. I'm sick of everything about him. I'm telling you, there's a moment from about 2016 to 2018-19 where I've never seen him. The whole beloved thing was completely torn limb from limb.
If his comeback is a Pirates movie, though, I'll take it.
No, what about the alpacas? So he's the whole Disney thing.
I know.
Part
Let's
of it.
say
I mean,
opinions
he
change.
eviscerated
Okay.
Disney in those emails. So Disney has to hold their grounds on this and say, look, we're not gonna. Pirates 5 bombed. It bombed.
Yes, we
For what
know.
that budget is and international, it's easily the lowest performing movie. It's not going to sell. They're going to have to bank on the fact that the interest in him from the trial is going to galvanize Pirates 6 into becoming what the others were monetarily. And I don't want to see, artistically, I don't want a fucking another Pirates movie again. We got it. It is beat to death, beyond.
Yes.
So do you want Pirates 6? Really?
I just said, if that's his comeback, I'll take it.
A mega pint.
During the 6-week trial, jurors weren't sequestered. They spent nights and weekends at home with their phones.
I think a majority of this trial was played out outside of a courtroom, unfortunately. I think vast majority of this trial was played out on social media.
We have a
And I
right.
think that this trial is an example of that gone haywire, gone amok. And the jury is not immune to that.
You think the jury saw it?
How could they not? I think even the most well-intentioned juror.
Oh, God, honey.
It would have been impossible to avoid this.
Depp's attorneys reject the notion that social media influenced the jury in any way. They say they believe jurors followed the judge's instructions.
Hell is from Bristol, Connecticut, I guess. Isn't that Aaron Hernandez's hometown? It's where ESPN is. Go ahead.
I forget.
What?
Okay, my last word on it. If the NFL suspends Watson, great. I'm not talking about the NFL and what they're going to do. They can suspend him. They probably will. What I'm talking about is the social media crap on Twitter with it. That's all I'm talking about.
What I liked about the Stephen A. Smith thing with Christopher Russo is they anointed, they pretty much are somewhat in unison that Cleveland, and this is why I root for you guys, if it's the Cavaliers or the Browns or the Indians, have the best sports fans in the country because they stay with their team regardless of all these ups and downs. And it's people like you that make him the best, because you are unwavering. You will not bail no matter what the situation is. And that is, it's very easy to stay with a team when you're fucking rooting for the Lakers or the Yankees but when you're Cleveland, that's the test, or Chowderheads in Boston, like, the Red Sox, the Celtics, the Patriots, zillions of championships. The true test is a fan like someone from Cleveland. That's a real fan.
I'm just a Cleveland fan, Browns fan. I'm not in Cleveland, so
Well, the
I do.
Blazers have a similar vibe to the
Yes.
Browns in some way.
Mm-hmm.
It's 1977.
Mm-hmm. I will give that town all the credit in the world, though. They are
Definitely
very loyal. But anyway, with Amber, the issue is she thinks this jury is on social media. She's talking like she's not the one who took that week off to study social media and come back during her testimony. That first hour of her testimony back from the break was her correcting her story.
Yeah.
So who's the one that couldn't be influenced by social media? So anyway, all right, let's
That's a
get
great
through this. I'm
counter.
sick
No,
of
that's a
her.
great. You're absolutely right. That's a great.
I need to say goodbye to this woman, so let's get her out of my life.
Not
you'll
read
never
about
get
the
to see her,
case.
I know.
They said social media wasn't the problem. Amber was.
The Depp lawyer called your testimony the performance of a lifetime and said you were acting. What do you say to that?
Says the lawyer for the man who convinced the world he had scissors for fingers.
She really thinks this lands.
I'm the performer. I had
No, we
listened
know
to
you're not.
weeks of testimony insinuating that, or saying quite directly that, I'm a terrible actress. So I'm a bit confused how I could be both.
Coming up.
Now that's the big moment everyone's talking about, is the scissor hands comparison. And
She's
it's
dumb.
awful and she's dumb and everything, but it's
No.
it's appealing to the humanoids. Let me take the most prosaic cookie cutter reference you could have in his filmography, and it's scissor hands and it's pirates, and I'm going to use that. So no matter how well it fits, it's just she's a simpleton. She's a, what do they say? They call her a
Do you
basic
think so?
bitch.
Or do you think she's trying to come off as a simpleton?
She doesn't think she's a simpleton, but that's a
Yeah.
simpleton's reference.
I go back and forth on whether she's just dumb.
It's all arbitrary. Like, what is your pockets of intelligence? You can be stupid about this, this, and this. She's obviously a very, very shrewd, cunning grifter. She got her hooks into him in
I don't know if it took
2009,
much,
and
though,
then
at that time.
maybe, I don't know. Is it a guy
Yeah.
who is so desperate in a midlife crisis that it didn't take much?
I think so.
Could Scarlett Johansson have easily done that too?
I think I could
Probably.
have gotten in there and gotten him if I threw out the right names.
Yeah. I don't know. It's a great question. It's intelligence is an arbitrary. I don't know how you gauge it, but she's and again, the power of the puss and her feminine wiles. She's been working that note since middle school. So that's I guess, if you call that a skill, if you call that smart, I don't know. I know what I can get away with because of my looks, or my, a guy is that smart? I don't know. I don't know if I consider it smart. I don't.
All right, let's get
The
through this. We got to get
verdict.
to Aquaman.
What might the impact be?
I worry about some of the very, very real fear others may have about coming forward.
And what may surprise you?
You issued a statement. I still have love for Johnny. Is that still true?
Yeah, crazy Robin. She's a simpleton, but manipulative and violent at every turn, right? I guess she could be both. She's cunning and cougar. She's smarter than she is. She thinks she's smarter than she is. She thinks she's fooling people because of it. Yes. She definitely underestimates everybody's sense of cynicism and intelligence. I think she spends her life underestimating everybody she's around. And she's elevated herself.
Andrew Morgan. Hush.
She'll be latched on to Andy Dick.
After 6 weeks of
Intelligence
Johnny
is
Depp
definitely
and Amber
arbitrary when it
Heard
comes to
slugging it out
Browns.
in
Oh, he's a
court,
big
the case went to the
Bengals
jury.
fan.
As a
the day
Bengals
of the
fan, did you
verdict.
have to look up the word arbitrary in Google?
It's
I'm
Hey,
just kidding.
you can't beat. They had such a great season. They could have easily won the Super Bowl. I mean,
Eh,
if it's possible, I do like. I'm a weird breed of someone who loves the whole AFC North except the Ravens.
we can unite Andrew Morgan in
Hate
the
line.
fact that the Steelers will be like in fourth all season. So hey, even with Jacoby Brissett as my quarterback.
Gina Bobina has always had a fetish for the Australian dateline. That's almost like she's trying to be like international Bobina. I like the Australian dateline the best. I've always liked the Bolivian dateline, Gina. That one's got such a vitriolic. They don't hold back on that one. They let him curse. There's nudity on it.
You come into the courtroom. Were you feeling confident?
Dramatic.
That's a great question.
Speaking of great questions, Hooper has a
Oh,
great question for you.
I gotta get her out of my life. Come on.
How do you blow off Hooper's question?
Oh God, quickly, and then let's finish this bitch. Okay. All right. I took a very long sabbatical from the NFL and all sports during my marriage. So getting back into the NFL, and I loved it, and
From the
I missed
fantasy
it.
league.
Yes, but anyway, I wanted a team that I could kind of follow, and watch them, do like a rebuild. It's a weird thing I did.
Right.
So this was off the 0 and 18. I started watching during the 0 and 18 season, or 0 and 16 season. So I'm not a longtime Browns fan, but I have suffered in just this short amount of time. So I started during that season when I made my comeback. I almost went with Tampa Bay because they were shit too at the time, but I chose the Browns. I probably should have gone with Tampa Bay, but then I would have had Tom Brady as my quarterback, and that would have been torturous. So I'm still with the Browns, and I fall in love with the Browns. All right.
That's a good answer. Crazy Robin says, "Let's finish this bitch." Sarah, trademark that, please. That's a
Yes,
Mortal
please.
Kombat line, right? It's from Mortal Kombat.
3 hours on this Dateline.
That was a plan.
I wish I could say yes to that.
Oh, snarl.
I want to say yes to you, but it wouldn't be true.
Question. The statement has a defamatory implication about Mr. Depp. Answer, yes.
Court is adjourned. Thank you.
In the end, the jury believed Johnny Depp, awarding him more than $10 million in damages. Amber won a single defamation claim in her countersuit and was awarded $2 million.
There's no polite way to say it. The jury looked at the evidence you presented. They listened to your testimony and they did not believe you. They thought you were lying.
How could, I'll put it this way, how could they make a judgment? How could they not come to that conclusion? They had sat in those seats and heard over 3 weeks of nonstop, relentless testimony from paid employees, and towards the end of the trial, randos, as I say.
Peasants.
You might as well say plebeians. You might as well say pleasant peasants. You
Mhm.
might as well say serfs with that condescending, arrogant laugh. I mean, she can't even laugh at her own. She's taking credit for randos. She claims she coined that. Now is that internet speak? All
Oh,
the
she
hip.
she thinks she's landing all these one-liners that she's been practicing. But just again, I'm gonna repeat it. Rewatch that Hicksville guy testify, and you see
Yeah,
the
that's a
real
good one.
her.
That's true. That's true. That's the genuine. That's exactly right. What's his name again? He looked like he's in Weezer. I
I
forget
don't
his
remember.
name.
I
He
got the
showed up. He
Tremaine.
showed up at the courthouse unannounced.
No, he had met with Camille the night before, and it was scheduled. But
But no, but
yeah,
they
the
did not plan
Elaine
that until the.
Elaine was all flustered. She didn't know who he was.
Oh, such a weird test. That's one of the strangest moments in the whole. It's such a Seinfeld finale
Yeah, but you know
trial.
what?
The weird
Good
characters
for
that came through.
him. Good for him for coming forward. He
Hey, he
actually
wants to see. Right, he knows. He also. I mean, that's where Depp's karma comes into play. Like Depp made such a great impression on him at this Hicksville trailer vacation spot where he just couldn't have been nicer, and he was treating him like he's never been treated before, like a celebrity, as an equal, and it really made an impression, and it made him like want to go to bat for him, which is
Morgan Knight.
Morgan Knight. What do you
Yeah.
mean?
That's
Oh,
his
that was
name,
okay. Oh,
Morgan
thank you.
Knight.
Yeah, right.
Mhm.
Dare to be different. I like what you say here. She's a pseudo intellectual.
Yeah.
She takes pictures with big books and uses
Yep.
fancy words out of context, try to sound smart. She's cunning, calculating, and manipulative. That's a perfect description. Dare to be different.
You know, the weird thing is
Perfect.
too,
Pseudo.
she takes these pictures with the big books while she's posing on the furniture she took from him in the marriage,
It's
like
just
as
no.
trophies.
The irony. I know.
She still has
Cancel
the
out
shit
the
bed.
every facial expression is just like she's so punchable. No matter where you stop it, when you stop it,
Mhm.
you just want to give her a roundhouse. David, welcome, sir. David time. That's okay, David. I think we brought you up like 10 times before. Rewinded, and uh, any David is welcome, David. That's okay, sir. You're such a stalwart every time. You're allowed to be late. You're allowed to have a life. I know you were at
Mickey Rooney's house.
I was gonna say, well, he played Troy Aikman's wedding. We got to get the full story behind it. So he had that Joe Buck story about Joe Buck requested "Nothing's Gonna Stop Us Now" in irony. He wanted
Mm.
David. Why would you go up to a guy who's in his early 30s and think he would even know that song? That's another crazy thing.
Yeah, it's weird.
And we can build this dream. And it was done and sarcastically. David thinks. I believe David's right.
So you don't blame the jury?
I don't blame them. It wasn't.
They're
I don't
stupid.
blame
I don't
them.
blame
I
them.
actually understand. He's a beloved character, and people feel they know him. He's a fantastic actor.
Their job is to not be dazzled by that.
Again, how could they, after
We're
listening
gonna
to
start over
3.5
for David,
weeks
Sarah.
of
No, we're
testimony
not.
about how I was an uncredible person, not to believe a word that came out of my mouth. I'm a hysterical woman. I'm a crazy woman. I can't be trusted
David broke his
over and
hip.
over again.
Johnny Depp was quick to celebrate his victory in a statement that read in part, "From the very beginning, the goal of bringing this case was to reveal the truth, regardless of the outcome," adding, "The jury gave me my life back. I am truly humbled."
When I asked his lawyers, why do you think you won? The answer I got was,
This is interesting.
because she never took responsibility for anything she did in the marriage. And as we're sitting here and I watched your cross-examination, there's an answer for everything. Do you feel you should have owned up to more of your own bad behavior that was revealed in court?
I'm glad, actually.
She can't even. I know she can't. Even her huffing fake laugh is ridiculous. The
Mhm.
former TMZ employee was great too, Sarah. Remember him?
Mm. I like the
That's
nerdy guy better though, the Hicksville guy.
Okashi. I
He's
like
very
the TMZ
quirky,
guy.
and quirky guy didn't really want to be there, but
The TMZ guy came in all guns a-blazing. He was just like, "I
yeah,
got
he
it all
knew
here,"
what to say
and
with his
it
black
really
fingernails.
destroyed TMZ. Just looks so bad. I mean, as if you didn't doubt all their credibility before. I mean, he just eviscerated that whole fucking entity.
Mhm.
You asked me that because, there is an answer for these things you say. I said this on the stand. You hear my voice in those audio tapes. It's not the voice of me now. That's not who I am now. I
but you were then?
did do and say horrible, regrettable things throughout my relationship. I behaved in horrible, almost unrecognizable to myself ways. I have so much regret.
On the first day of the trial,
Does that sound like regret?
No, she doesn't regret a thing. She gets off on. She probably has those audio tapes at home and jerks off to him.
She's not saying she's wrong. She's saying she was so passionately angry at what he did to her that she didn't
Mhm.
know how this would come off. But she's not admitting to having a flaw, really. It's just that I'm so much a victim that I got angry in the moment. And
Mhm.
I mean, she's been told a zillion times this line about her not admitting to anything wrong. I mean, if there's no question that's gotten through. And so she heard it at the trial. She's heard it a zillion times since. So she came into this interview with that agenda, knowing this is my way of claiming that going to admit to a wrong thing or two during this. She definitely
Mhm.
had that lined up. That's her way of doing it because she's heard this a ton of times in the last 3 weeks. So she's going to try to, I mean, it's not even getting in front of it. It's just acknowledging it. once. It's the first time she's ever acknowledged it.
Issued a statement, and part of the
Yes.
statement said, "I still have love for Johnny."
Yes.
Is that still true?
Yes.
After everything?
Absolutely.
Psycho.
Absolutely. I love him.
After the bottle?
I loved him with all my heart. And I tried the best I could to make a deeply broken relationship work.
Vita Simpson, many of us have brothers, sons, nephews, uncles, good men we care for and respect.
Mm-hmm.
Men that were raised to never ever hit a woman no matter what. We've seen Ambers in high school and college, etc. 1 in 4 men can actually get abused. That's a pretty good stat. Well done. Well said, Vita.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with every word. That's
And I'm glad
really,
you're here,
really.
Vita. We don't see you
Yes,
often
welcome
enough.
again. This is I think this is her debut appearance.
No, she's been on before, I think.
No,
Yeah,
Vita, this
she
is your
just
first
doesn't
time in the
come.
chat,
She
right?
just doesn't contribute to the chat enough.
No, but she hasn't written in the chat. That's what
I
I'm
think
saying.
I've seen the name before. Maybe in the comments.
Maybe in the comments. David was in Woodstock during the 30s. He was one of the Wavy Gravy's hog farms. Yeah, John O'Reilly, but a Wavy Gravy.
And I couldn't.
She becomes a monkey when
Amber
people call
Heard
her out
says
on her
she
lies.
intends to appeal her case, and she's concerned her defeat may be a setback for other women.
I hope this hasn't, had the chilling effect.
Make no mistake, it is a major blow. It is one of the biggest things you can get out of this trial is what it did to the vetting process of the Me Too movement. It is a major blow to your ilk and everybody coming forward. They're all going to be, I think women are going to be terrified because of they don't want her as a representative. And she had no proof, and her corroboration was so god awful. It is a huge. I don't think she can. I don't think she has any concept of how much she's damaged the credibility of her brethren. That's
And
her.
Vita, I'm correct. She has been here before. You just need to pay attention.
Vita said, "I've been here." Okay, Vita. I don't know what. Give me a specific, because I'm pretty.
Oh my God.
I'm
Come
pretty
on.
fastidious about acknowledging the names in the chat. I believe if people haven't. If I'm very sorry, Vita, if you got past me, because I'm usually pretty good, but I'm so glad you're here now.
Vita, we need you to recreate all of the
Amber says I
messages
can
you've
call
ever
her one.
posted so we can remember. Just kidding. I remember you because I'm
That I worry it may have on other people. I worry about that. But if I can look you in the eye, Savannah, and say I'm still here, and maybe that serves to balance out some of the very, very real fear others may have about coming forward or speaking out.
How do you see your future now? Do you think you'll act again?
I get to be a mom. I get to be a mom.
Play that mommy card. The human shield. You knew it was coming. We knew it from day one. The trial started. She's going to use that kid. When it all goes wrong, I'm a mom. Above all, I'm a mom. So much so that she wouldn't. The weight gain terrified her. That she had to have some fucking Martian
No, she
surrogate
couldn't.
thing we
She
can't
couldn't
figure
give up
out.
the Accutane to
Or
carry a
yeah.
child. All right, come on.
Amber feels like the peak of a cultural pimple of celeb women taking advantage of the Me Too movement is when there's actually people who have legitimate DV incidents in the world. Absolutely, David.
Full time.
One day you may want to tell your daughter about this or have to tell your daughter about everything that you've gone through.
Welcome, Greenpoint.
What would
Thank
you tell
you,
her
sir.
about what happened here and what this experience has meant?
Another
I think
precocious 33-year-old.
No matter what,
Greenpoint.
it will mean something. I did the right thing. I did everything I could to stand up for myself and the truth. I look forward to living my life, and I have a long one, I hope, in front of me. And I will continue to walk through this with my chin up.
That's all for this.
For all you
Thanks, Lester.
working moms out there, single moms that have to slug it out with 2 jobs or a long job or a job that's difficult. Do you get to just stay home with your kid when you owe $8.4 million like
You do
this?
when you blackmail Elon Musk into
Right. So
allowing you to use an
how do you
embryo.
owe someone $8.4 million and get to be a round the clock stay at home mom when you're $8.4 million in the hole?
Mhm.
Now, if you don't think that proves that he's got something to do with this, well, the ace some weird benefacting thing, I don't know what does. You don't get the luxury of being a stay-at-home mom when you owe supposedly you are $8.4 million in the hole. So
Mhm.
how do you get to do that? I'm waiting.
You're gonna be waiting because nobody here can
And
can
I know,
relate.
I know. Well, this is the big mystery. Like you just so much. The verdict was levied, and now you get to. You know, like when women go on maternity leave, it's like this crazy thing. Oh, I get 4 months, and that's and rightfully it's a thing now. But she gets 4 years, but
Yeah.
she owes 8.5. How is that possible?
Mhm.
If you wouldn't you be how terrified would you be if you owed $8.5 million right now
I'd
in the state you're in?
probably take a lot of pills
She is having
and go to
she
sleep.
is right. She couldn't be more galvanized. And that tells you everything you need to know that it is coming from right. It is coming from Teflon Tesla.
Mhm.
And I think Josh Richmond confirmed that.
You cut out.
Narcissism, borderline. Amber simply does not care. Narcissism, borderline personality, entitlement does not allow for any humanity or humanity in Howard's voice. Stupid Howie Brasco. Humanity.
Edition of Dateline. We'll see you again next Friday at 10, 9
With a
Central.
decent
And of
story
course, I'll
next
see
time,
you each
Lester.
weeknight for NBC Nightly News. I'm Lester Holt for all.
Interesting, Maury boy. Her and Amy Schumer now wear this like a badge. All they want doesn't make them less crazy or borderline witches. That's exactly right. That's a perfect comparison for using the kid as a human shield. She does that exact thing. You're absolutely right. I have a kid. I can't be a plagiarist. I can't rip off everybody's material. I have a kid. I'm a mom. Don't accuse me of plagiarism.
All of us at NBC News. Good night.
Okay, what do you want to do now, Sarah? It's your choice. We're at three
I don't
hours and
know.
7 minutes, 3 hours and 8 minutes. We could sign off and we could do the Aquaman thing Thursday, where we talk about Aquaman 2 and where it's at and her screen time and the
Okay,
testimony of Walter Hamada from DC Films.
let's do the Aquaman thing Thursday, and then we'll get into the lawsuit
Okay.
with
Okay.
the Rocky Brooks.
Crazy Robin writes, I work 3 jobs at once. A lot of people in the social work
Yeah.
do moonlight and triple dip. That's exactly right. I could see that. OJ Simpson, isn't that your parents a big deal? Her daughter will
Do
have
you want
only
to? Melvin says do another hour. I don't care. Do you want to do
mm,
Aquaman?
I don't want it to be forced and rushed and crammed in. It's your call. I mean, if you're tired, we're 3 hours and 9 minutes. It's your
I
call.
can go either way. If you're up for it, I am.
What I'd like see what the reason I don't want to do it is because I want to put Depp's testimony about Warner Brothers executives with it, and I don't have it ready. And
Okay, all right.
it's been bothering me the whole show
All
that I
right.
didn't. It's one of those things I brain farted on. I'm
Okay.
supposed to fuse in Depp's ending testimony where he talks about the Warner Brothers executives and him basically getting her the job in Aquaman at the end. And I don't have it ready, and I wanted it to be. She's still acting though. She has 2 movies lined up after Aquaman and the movie in the fire. She's playing a psychiatrist. Oh my god! I'm hoping she'll model the character of the Doctor Spiegel. I didn't.
Oh dear
That's
God.
right. Is that you think what
I
is it?
know she had a movie, but I haven't paid attention to the role.
Is it a theatrical release, Dare to Be Different, or is it gonna be on like Netflix or Amazon?
It's probably like what's that Gully? Not Gully. Was it Gully?
Well, Gully's a piece of crap. She
Okay,
played
yeah.
it's the mom of a wigger,
Mhm.
and it's
She's
one
like
of the worst
sniffed
movies
out
you'll
trash
ever.
whore, like in real life.
It makes Adderall Diaries look like Glenn Ross. Her breaking down about a mom and being living is like Beth breaking down about cleaning the house in COVID when there's nurses 22 hours a day. Exactly right, David. When she said she'd hope to have a long life, that is a very strange thing for a 30-something. That is. Do you remember yourself saying that, Sarah? 36. I hope to have a very, very long life.
Well,
Like you
she
had some.
probably will because they say only the good die young. So,
Who says that?
someone. I'm so brain fried right now.
Katie Lee Joel says that. Christy
Oh yeah,
Brinkley
yeah,
said
yeah.
that.
Billy Joel.
Yeah.
Okay, I couldn't place it.
Lauren Marie triggering the. Okay, we'll end it after. Is she really gonna play it?
Reminder. Sorry. The Patreon link is in the description.
And this goes out. We're doing a City of Lies series and the lawsuit with his location manager, and we're going to do a screening of the movie. We can't
On
do it here, so
Patreon.
I have the real movie, and we'll all get to watch it. It's a great. I think it's the best Depp movie in the last 10 years.
I'll make everybody a deal. If we get to 10 patrons, I will move it down to $1. It's at $2 right now.
And I'm a monkey too. I'll take requests to so you get your money's worth. I'm gonna be doing stuff on the Deppening channel. I'm gonna sing pop songs as Depp. But whatever. We'll make it worth your while as we normally do. I think you get your money's worth here, to say the least. It is amazing she admits to nothing, says Greenpoint, and the reason she lost is the jury feels like she knows it. The jury feels like they know him because they've obviously seen all his movies. That's a great point. You know what? Just the amount of years he's been around, it doesn't come up enough. The jury truly does feel like they know him. Even if you're not a super fan, you do feel like you know him. That's absolutely it should be an obvious point, but it really isn't brought up a lot.
And thank you, Crazy Robin. You're the best. That's all I want to say.
Being a mom is I want Crazy Robin to sit in on one of our almost if she the City of Lies screening. I think she'd be good for that because she knows the layout in the area
and
and
whoever
stuff. She can
wants
give
to,
us locations.
We can do a multi-person stream.
Saturday night. I don't want to be forced and rushed, Cram. It's ironic. Elon wants Twitter to have more freedom of speech, and then Amber hates social media. I know that's a crazy thing. He couldn't contradict himself anymore. You knew that was coming. He's such a fucking.
Go back to that. Hooper had a question about what have you had?
Geoduck.
Okay, I've never had it. The only thing I've ever even seen it on is they made it once on Top Chef. I've never had it.
I will say that I think we should definitely play the. Here's what we'll end with, I guess, because you found a video on Twitter, I believe, that I recorded.
Yes, play that, and we'll end with that. CUNT.
Okay, I'm gonna get rid of some of the stuff I have here. Remove from studio. Okay, I'm going to find. I hate when you announce when you're playing with the. I'll do this.
Did you write?
Okay, I want to show you a couple things. What's that?
Did you write the description yet for this video on YouTube?
No, I don't have it on YouTube. I just have it. I screen recorded it.
Oh no. When you know how you write the description for our videos?
Yeah.
Okay. When you do, if you haven't yet, just leave the link, the Patreon link at the top. That's all. Okay. Continue.
I think you did that initially.
No, I put that in there already, but you're going to add to it. So just don't hide it down anywhere.
Okay, we have little cute short videos we'll end with here. We're not getting off right this second, but in a few minutes we will. So this is Amber Heard apparently did a really strange PSA about feminism, and Sarah found it. I want to say it's from like 5-6 years ago. This is so I put two of them together and just.
Don't be afraid to be called a bitch. It's what they call you when they're threatened by you or scared of you. Don't be afraid to be called a bitch. It's what they call you when they're threatened by you or scared of you. Don't be afraid to be called a bitch. It's what they call you when they're threatened by you or scared of you. Don't be.
What?
What's her arm action?
Don't
be afraid to be called a bitch.
Don't be afraid to be called a bitch. It's what they call you when they're threatened by you or scared of you. Don't be afraid to be called a bitch. It's what they call you when they're threatened by you or scared of you. Don't be afraid to be called a bitch. It's what they call you when they're threatened by you or scared of you. Don't be.
One more time.
Don't be afraid to be called a bitch. It's what they call you when they're threatened by you or scared of you. Don't be afraid to be called a bitch. It's what they call you when they're threatened by you or scared of you. Don't be afraid to be called a bitch. It's what they call you when they're threatened by you or scared of you.
Okay, so this is her in her most sanctimonious, pompous, probably shot this
That's her deposition
December of
shirt.
2018.
That's her deposition shirt. I would say this was shot much earlier than that. She wore that shirt when she's giving that infamous deposition where she's smirking and rolling her eyes.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't
I
mean
would
that it's
bet
shot
you.
at the same time, but I feel like she's so galvanized by Aquaman,
I would bet
and
you
maybe
it's
Justice League was before Aquaman.
I would bet you this is 2017 where when she's got her divorce
I'll
settlement
give you that. I mean, that's in between Aquaman and Justice League 17.
and the ego is at an all-time high.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. She knows it's coming, and Depp is again. The public sentiment on him has never been lower at this time. There's no question. It's in that at the I'd say 18 or 17 is when this is. Yeah, because we did those 8-9 hour streaming. Now that the expectations are so high that everything has to be 9. Two
Wow,
actors from Netflix chose what?
those patrons are coming in. Thank you guys.
Two actors from Netflix, The Chosen One, die in a car. What is that? A story? Herb Arnold? Two actors from Netflix, The Chosen One, die in car crash. We use proper grammar in this chat, Mr. Arnold. We don't say things like two actors from Netflix, The Chosen One, die in car crash
It's
in
typing
Mexico,
on a
Mr. Map.
phone,
I
probably.
know. I just want to do Mr.
He
Feeney.
doesn't mean that.
I know. I don't mean it at all. I just want to do Feeney.
I'm looking it up.
Minimata is a very good movie, Vita. It's a little slow at times, but I do need to watch it again. It's classic Depp biopic, and Vita, you know how precious the mercury epidemic in Japan is to me. I mean, I make no secret about that, and I do think Minamata is an exceptionally above average film. I like City of Lies a little better. It's more my speed. But Minamata shows his subtlety, and he plays like basically a Thompson-esque photographer named Eugene Smith in the 70s.
I'm reading the article. I apologize.
Sunflower Dragon is a question about Oregonian nature.
We'll go back. I didn't see it.
Right here.
Okay. Oh my lord. Weather-wise, I would say springtime. About this time, maybe May has a lot of rain. I would say this time of the year.
What's the precipitation compared to Seattle, Washington?
You never believe this when I tell you this, but New York actually gets more rain than Oregon does.
That's crazy. I can't imagine that.
We just get more at a time than you do.
Okay. So overall, like inches of rain, is that what you're going by, or
Mm-hmm.
days?
Yeah.
Wino rep. Having a wino rep. Zach, Melvin wants to host a wine. Yeah, Melvin, are you ever up for sitting in on one of our shows, or you just like to stay in this behind the scenes? You're more of a research guy, because
And we
the
don't,
offer's there.
we'll never ask for you to be on camera because we don't.
Yeah, we don't. It doesn't. There's too many weird glitches. Like you go to the bathroom too much. You can't. I don't know what purpose it is to
I don't want
be
you to catch
seen.
me picking my nose on camera.
There's a
So
lot
I
of
will
it
never
can
be
only be
on.
used against you, right? What benefit is it really?
Yeah.
Exactly.
I don't need the attention.
And you don't, right? Then that's the opposite of Amber. She would never do this.
Mm-hmm.
She insists.
Don't be afraid to be called a bitch.
You're killing me.
It's what they call you when they're threatened by you or scared of you. Don't be afraid to be called a bitch. It's what they call you when they're threatened by you or scared of you.
Don't be afraid to be called fat ass. Oh, I see. Brought up my kid again, just like in London, like you designed.
Anybody who wants to be the third wheel on our show, just email the
Third
deppening at
mic.
gmail.com. So I have your email. I can send you when the time comes the link to StreamYard.
The Artie chair.
Yep.
The Arthur Curry chair. Okay. So now I want to play for you. I would
Thank you,
call it
Phil.
fun. We all heard Josh Richmond, who played Ronnie Seabach in 21 Jump Street. He is a longtime friend of Depp's. This guy, I don't even know how to. I have a theory that he's in the pharmaceutical business as well as one of the things, his many functions. He's a producer. He's a director. I don't know if A. Smith has seen him on the scene. He is a sometime actor. And so this is an interesting thing I found from Depp leaving a club, and he gets mobbed by photographers, and Josh Richmond is basically posing as security. He's running interference between Depp and photogs. I think this is really loud. Let me see if I can find my favorite angle.
Growing up to the Christian to the United States. No.
Yeah, let me set this up. So Depp's coming out of a club bar here. I think they're in LA. On Depp's left, our right, that's Josh Richmond, who we just played the clip of. He's been his friend. He's in 21 Jump Street episode Besieged in season 2. He plays Ronnie Seabach. And he's on the music. This guy is just friends with everybody. He's the mayor of LA. He's director. He's in cahoots with Guns N' Roses. He directed that Don't You Cry video. He's in the November Rain video. And he's with Depp here. And he's kind of running interference. It's almost like a fake security. And Depp's graciously signing autographs as he leaves, as he always does. His driver, Starling Jenkins, is waiting at the curb with the car. And he does some little Jenkins martial arts here to disarm one of the paparazzi. If you can see it really quick, I'm not sure if I have a couple different versions of it. And so Depp passes out here, and Richmond tries to catch him. He's just wobbly and induced by something, and it's a crazy scene here.
He signed.
Okay, really?
What are you doing to Johnny? What are you doing to Johnny?
They're literally on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, so you can see the stars. And so Josh Richmond scoops him up. Depp is just like zoinked out on something here.
Johnny, are you okay?
He gets up and continues to sign autographs after he hits the pavement.
He's I would say drunk. Maybe he just like tripped over his feet and fell over.
I don't know how you fall like that. That was a weird fall. I don't get that.
The way he's reacting to getting back up and just resuming, maybe he's just drunk.
Yeah, Sunflower Dragon, thank you. How about more likes from the 48 people in the chat? I'm not a like whore, but yeah, hit that like, smash that like button.
Well, somebody didn't run the banner today to remind them.
Oh, okay. I got to run it now. Here we go.
Yeah.
We're on the 1 yard line.
Mr. Johnny, are you good? Hey. Johnny, are you okay? Mr. Johnny, are you good? You're in the street. Don't touch me. Mr. Depp, please. Don't touch me. We're in the street. Johnny, can I get a picture with you? Johnny. Don't touch me. This is the street.
God.
The street. Johnny, can I get a picture with you?
Okay, as Depp and Josh Richmond are walking into the SUV, his security, who you saw during the trial, Starling Jenkins, he's a black bodyguard security. He's also driving him here. He disarms this photog. If you look really quick, ex-Marine. He's got all this incredible, accomplished background. And so watch.
Johnny, don't touch me. This is the street. The street.
Depp does an up yours motion here where you take the hand and you put it on the elbow with the fist out. It's very Italian, very Donnie Brasco thing.
Oh! Here's a public street. I'll see you there, bro. What the fuck is that? I'm gonna get serious. It's a public street. Oh my God. Mr. Depp, I like that. Johnny.
So now they take off, and Starling Jenkins is driving. I don't know if I think they should.
Hey Johnny, Rum Diary. Thank you, Johnny.
Weird, right?
Yeah.
Thank you, Melvin.
Thank you. You guys are great. I want to keep it as low as possible.
Whatever the
Um,
lowest tier is, right?
I think it's $1. I'm gonna work on that tomorrow.
And this is solely so we can watch along with various movies and 21 Jump Street.
If it's not
Solely.
you will have it will be at the lowest we can do, which I'm
Well,
hoping is $1.
also we can do
Which it should be.
the Platoon, the documentary, the Charlie Sheen one on Amazon,
Yeah.
which I think is a must watch, and some Thompson stuff. I think it doesn't have to be relegated to just movies and TV. Some of the
Yeah.
stuff we just don't want to, music wise too. We could even
Mhm.
do. So there's tons of potential in that as I think about it. But I'm gonna keep it in the lowest tier possible. I
Yeah,
want to thank everyone. Go ahead, sir.
No, I'm just kidding. We aren't comfortable charging money to view our content, so we're gonna keep it at the lowest, but this is where we can go to do what we want to do.
Yeah,
That's all I gotta
absolutely,
say.
Zach. Fear and Loathing commentary is definitely coming. We've actually our Thompson series. We're supposed to do a Hunter S. Thompson series, and that is essential to do a watch along for that, without question. Sarah's never even seen it, so I'm almost curious if maybe you could watch it for the first time
Yeah, probably.
on the Patreon.
Mhm.
We're not going to go nuts with it. It's just here once in a while when it's essential
I
to.
think we can do it more than I want to do at least a couple a month.
Yeah, 2 a month is good. 2 or 3 a month, definitely. Oh, definitely. That was excellent. Oh, thank you, Vita. You saw that? The Platoon documentary is a depth that you don't know about. It's way deeper into the Platoon making. His private learner in the movie is literally he's in the movie for maybe 5 minutes, and there's a lot of scenes that are cut, and we'll play those. And it's a great scene with him talking about his character learner does a profile of his platoon mates, and he's doing it with I think it's Willem Dafoe in this scene, and it shows he's basically and Oliver Stone cast Depp because he's from the South, and Oliver Stone really logically said, I wanted to cast the white people in my platoon that they're
Mhm.
poor Southerners because that was my platoon. So he cast Depp because he was from Kentucky and Florida. That was exactly why. I didn't know that. I didn't know. I thought it was a Charlie Sheen hookup, but apparently Stone claims it was because he's from Florida and Kentucky. And I mean, there's an interview he does with Brian Gumbel, him and DeLuise, and he got it. Depp kind of got a gassed up head because a Platoon is a massively respected movie. So when you're in that movie and you go to television, it's kind of a come down, even though you're essentially starting the Fox network, and that show was so huge for his exposure. And I mean, he's not in Platoon that much, but he thought of it as a total come down to go from an Academy Award winning movie like Platoon and just doing TV.
Mhm.
That was he just he didn't know how to deal with it, and he got a little bit of a get in this Brian Gumbel interview. It's going to look like he got a little full of himself during it, and I'd not seen that side of him before.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sue Monster. That's very, very generous. Thank you so. And I think Sue Monster is the
Oh,
first
wow,
post
thank
by
you.
Sue Monster
No,
tonight.
Sue's been tonight. Yeah, I think so.
Tonight. So
Thank you so much.
we're gonna cap out at 3.5 hours, which is a good length for one of
Mhm.
these. Yeah, Gunga Din. He's barely in Platoon, but there's some great deleted scenes. And one of Depp's acrimony with the Platoon movie, he came back to Miramar, Florida, and he went to the theater to see the movie, which he claims he doesn't see himself on film. It's one area that he does. And he
Mhm.
goes to watch the movie and he finds out that 15, 20 minutes of him in the movie has been cut out. And insiders in the movie say, Charlie Sheen is based completely on Oliver Stone's experience in Vietnam. And this is a compliment to Depp, that Depp's character of Lerner was so charismatic and sympathetic and empathetic that you were more concerned. It was taking attention away from Charlie Sheen, that you kind of were thinking, oh, who's this guy? So Stone thought that Charlie Sheen was being upstaged by Depp's charisma, in the movie, so he cut Depp's scenes out so you paid more attention to Charlie Sheen because he is Oliver Stone in the movie. That's that's been confirmed by a few people.
I am looking forward to reading that or
Platoon's
watching it.
phenomenal. Platoon's a phenomenal movie. I would love to see a super cut of it though. I'd love to see everything put back in. Okay, everyone. Thank you. I love you all for joining us. I will see you on Radio Gunk, I think Monday. No, wait. I don't know. Is that plug?
I think there's 3 more
going to
shows
be on? Well,
before his
is it
vacation.
Monday is a Nubian holiday now.
Oh yeah, so he won't be
So
there.
I don't know. Yeah, well, he doesn't care. I mean, Rasan and Robin's not going to make him there's no way that the Hamptons season's going to be curtailed because of his fake high school career. So we'll see. But certainly, at the very least, 6:05 Monday. And this could be the last week, hopefully. And then we'll do some theme shows. And then Thursday, back here, 7:05 Ted Turner Eastern Standard Time. So we're going to start the City of Lies stuff, and we're going to do the Aquaman stuff. We're going to start with the Aquaman stuff. And Walter Hamada from DC and Warner Brothers. I love the behind the scenes. Most films, Lover of the Moon. Yes, Vita, I agree 100%. Thank you, David. 6 more shows. We thank you, Lauren Marie. Love you too. We'll be celebrating music too. We're going to end with Sarah's birthday video for her beloved cartoon cat, Camilla, which I just can't get enough of.